I don't think first. Oh, well, I guess they don't have to be here right yet.
Okay, I'm going to call to order the September 19th Single Family Design Board. Fred Sweeney will not be attending this meeting. I am the chair for today. And before we begin, Kathy, could you give a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Brian Miller.
Here.
Bernie Bernstein.
Here.
Joseph Batisha.
Here.
Denise Willery.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. We'd like to, for general business, we start with public comment. Any member of the public may address the Single Family Design Board for up to 2 minutes on any subject within the jurisdiction that's not scheduled for public discussion before the board. Anyone here wanting to speak for public comment? Seeing no one coming forward, we will continue on and get approvals of the minute for the agenda minutes for Tuesday, September 6th, 2016.
So moved.
Oh, it's good.
I'll second.
All right. Okay. So item number 1, 2105 Anacapa Street. Item 2, 841 De La Guerra Terrace. Item 3, 30 Langlo Terrace.
39.
Oh, sorry, 39 Langlo Terrace. Number 4, 1257 Farello Road. Number 5, 1201 Del Oro. And number 6, 406 North Ontario Road. Seeing no changes, all those in favor say aye. Are you reading?
We're lagging.
I have
Sure.
Before we did, was 406. It was postponed. So
That's what it says.
Correct. It was postponed indefinitely at the applicant's request.
Okay, great.
it's okay. It does. That's it. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Postponed.
Okay, all those in favor of the minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Let's go to review the minutes for the Single Family Design Board for September 12th. The consent. Following items. Let's see.
The following items are as follows, or the minutes for the September 12th consent meeting are as follows. 941 Medio Road received final approval of review after submitted final conditions. Item B, 1417 San Miguel Avenue received project design approval and final approval with the finding that the neighborhood preservation ordinance criteria have been met as stated in subsection 22.69.050 of the City of Santa Barbara's Municipal Code, and with the condition to remove the carissa in the parkway and replace it with either gravel or mulch material. Item C, 38 Santa Ynez Street received project design approval and final approval as submitted with the finding that the neighborhood preservation ordinance criteria have been met as stated in subsection 22.69.050 of the City of Santa Barbara's Municipal Code. Item D, 310 Argonne Circle received final approval of review after final is submitted. Item E, 1208 Shoreline Drive received project design approval and final approval is submitted with the finding that the neighborhood preservation ordinance criteria have been met as stated in subsection 22.69.050 of the City of Santa Barbara's Municipal Code. Item F, 1605 Paterna Road received project design approval and final approval is submitted with the finding that the neighborhood preservation ordinance criteria have been met as stated in subsection 22.69.050 of the City of Santa Barbara's Municipal Code. Item G, 1554 Alameda Padre Serra received project design approval and final approval is submitted with the finding that the neighborhood preservation ordinance criteria have been met as stated in subsection 22.69050 of the City of Santa Barbara's Municipal Code.
Okay, I just want to make note that myself and Lisa reviewed all items except item G, 1554 Alameda Padre. I had to recuse myself, and Joe Matisha reviewed that project.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
I have two things. So I would like to know, I don't know anything about Medio Road 941. It looks like it went, did it go from the board to consent, or could somebody speak to that? What happened with that?
Yeah, that was, let's see. The project.
I don't remember.
Well, let's see. Pool. Deck.
Yeah. Why? That doesn't happen very often, does it? Go in that direction?
They received final approval, and they were coming back in to have you guys review their final approval conditions. So
Yeah.
we don't normally have that come in. They just wanted you to look at it again. So there was nothing really to approve. It was just to verify that they had met the final approval conditions.
Okay.
So
It was
went to
referred by the
consent.
board to consent so that we
Okay.
could review the
So, Bernie, my
conditions.
comment is I guess we felt it was okay and approved it.
Okay, and I have one other thing on item F. I am going to recuse myself because I was actually involved in the sale of that. But the owner, one of the owners that's listed is deceased, so maybe they want to correct their records.
Okay. All right. Okay, all those in favor of the minutes, say aye.
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 So I'll recuse on F,
Abstain.
abstain, whatever.
Okay. All right, thank you. Now for today, for September 19th.
The minutes for the September 19th, 2016 Single Family Design Board consent minutes are as follows. Item A, 376 Los Alturas Road, received final approval as submitted of review after final changes. Item B, 1351 Santa Rita Circle, received project design approval and final approval with the finding that the neighborhood preservation ordinance criteria have been met, as stated in subsection 22.69050 of the City of Santa Barbara Municipal Code. Item C, 507 Santa Onofre Road, received project design approval with the finding that the neighborhood preservation ordinance criteria have been met, as stated in subsection 22.69050 of the City of Santa Barbara Municipal Code, and it was continued indefinitely to consent review. Item D, 1733 Mission Ridge, received project design approval and final approval with the finding that the neighborhood preservation ordinance criteria have been met, as stated in subsection 22.69.050 of the City of Santa Barbara Municipal Code. Item E, 453 Los Alturas Road was continued indefinitely to the full board. Item F, 1201 Sima Linda Lane, received project design approval and final approval with the finding that the neighborhood preservation ordinance criteria have been met, as stated in subsection 22.69.050 of the City of Santa Barbara Municipal Code.
All right, thank you. Okay. All those in favor of the minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, all those in favor? Unanimous? All right, thank you. All right, we're going on to announcement. Katie, do we have any announcements?
Yes, we have the American Institute of Architects Architect Tours presentation, so we'll turn it over to Chris.
Hey,
Okay.
Chris.
Press my little button here. Okay, Chair Miller, Board. My name is Chris Manson-Hing from the AIA, and I'm here to announce the 2016 Architect Tours, which is happening on October the 1st. I'd like to start with this quick presentation by saying that the theme this year is Spirit of Santa Barbara, Past and Present, and there will be 7 projects of varying styles and ages. So we go from adobe structures all the way to modern contemporary structures. And for the public who is interested, the same information that I'm showing here is available on the AIA website at aiasb.com. And I'll scroll through it here and give you an idea. So this project that you're seeing here is where the after party will also be, and that is the Santa Barbara Center for Art, Science, and Technology, which is on the tour. The center has an educational and community outreach mandate to further the public understanding and enjoyment of the arts in a creative, accessible, and engaging setting. So that's something that you'll be able to, to experience. It's a very new building in Santa Barbara. The next one here is the Jorgensen Ranch House, and here we go from a multi-space, more of an educational type of facility, down to a residence that started off as an adobe structure that was designed in the 1950s and then recently remodeled. And so this is the past that we're talking about in the theme. The next one here is that street facade of the Santa Barbara Center for Art and Science, where the party will be. As you can see, very modern structure, modern styling with the interior courtyard, and I think it's quite interesting. Next one here is, as everyone may know, Santa Barbara County Courthouse. This is probably one of the most historic landmarks in this city and could be in the state. There will be the recently remodeled mural room with its lighting, and all the murals were all restored after many years of not having done it, where you can actually see all the murals very clearly now. There'll also be a tour of the clock room, which is only rarely available to the public, and one of the courtrooms in the building. The next one here is the Braille Institute. This is a very interesting tour because at 3 different times of the tour, 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 3 o'clock, the tour participants will be able to take an experiential tour of 3 areas: the sensory garden, teaching kitchen, and ceramic studio. And then there will be people on hand that will help the participants with vision simulating glasses, so that or blindfolds, so that they can actually experience what it is to be not have full vision. And you'll be able to participate in the garden by smelling the different plants and engaging in the sense of touch to identify and smell herbs. In a teaching kitchen, you'll be able to actually try and cook something with this type of, I would say you have less abilities in vision. And in the ceramic studio, you'll be able to try your hand at making what they call a pinch pot, all the while having this lowered visibility. Next one here is Westmont Inside Out Art Department Physics, Math, Psychology Hall, which is quite a modern building, educational facility. It's quite large. It has a very interesting relationship between the indoors and the outdoors. I think it's something that does not come up on the tour very often. That's why we think it's very interesting. And then the next one is a very modern, contemporary, single-family residence. And then this pulls you right into the more of a modern era and things that are happening in our city today. The house is owned by an industrial designer, and you can see the building is designed in such a way as to show, to show how the building is put together in that same way that he actually, has his career, in doing stuff. The mill, which is a 22,000 square foot, very large, older structure down in the Funk Zone. I mean, this is a project that's been going on for many years, and it was constructed in the early 1900s. And now it's been remodeled to do a multitude of disciplines. And so all, again, available on the AIASB.com website. All the details are on there. The very first page, when you click that in, you will get this same tour that I've just taken you through here. And If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. Other than that, I thank you for your time, and I hope to see you all there.
That's very interesting. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Hey, any questions? Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Take care.
All right, moving on. We don't have. I don't think we have any subcommittee reports. So, go on to our first project, which is 1530 Shoreline Drive. So, who's here to represent that project?
Jeff Swaim, the owner.
Okay, step forward and introduce yourself and show us what you got.
Well, I should read what.
Oh, and
After.
Denise has the minutes from our previous meeting. She was.
Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Swaim, the owner, builder, and I was here on August 22nd for comments, and so I'm back again.
Okay, great.
Okay. So our motion was that we continued the project indefinitely to the full board. Make sure I'm on here. Number one, the board finds the deck size from the property line to be acceptable at less than the proposed 17 feet, for only up to 15 feet in size to be more in proportion with the neighborhood and house, and also help preserve the privacy of adjacent neighbors. Number two, the proposed materials and color board are acceptable. Number three, the general facade treatment with the proposed hardy board is acceptable. Number four, the proposed bifold doors are acceptable. Number five, provide a landscape plan with call-outs for sizes and quantity of plant species for the front yard that would help soften the appearance of the new deck and at both side yards. Number six, provide an acceptable landscape substitute for the proposed bamboo plantings. Action Woolery Bernstein 500, motion carried. Motisha was absent.
Thank you.
Okay,
Well,
show us what we have.
Yeah.
Well, first, I appreciate the comments from the last meeting, and we've taken a lot of time to address those comments. And first, initially, we proposed that the deck be extended by an additional 8.5 feet. So today, we've adjusted that, reduced it per the comments to an additional 6.5 feet, which takes us to a total of 15 foot.
you want to show us on your plans?
Yeah, I think
Easier to see it when you're.
it's
Bring
page
it forward a little bit. Yes,
I get to the right page here. I think. All the page 5.
okay. Show us where the deck.
I think best shot. Here we go.
Says here.
I think there's some. Let's see. The next page is also relevant. Let's see. Sorry, I'm not good at getting to the right pages here, but this is demonstrating the 15-foot extension there. I wanted to get the top view here. If I get to the right page. Oh, here we go. Let's see here. Yeah. So we have carefully looked at our furniture that we want to have, taking into account the bifold doors, a table for 8 up for kids. One of my kids is married. We'd like to be able to, especially on holidays, enjoy sitting outside and having a meal, and then also having some place to sit as well. So these tables, and a table for 8's rather large, so there's not a lot of extra room there. But also, what is important to me is below the deck is going to provide a porch area. And my one daughter loves to read and write, and she's already got dibs on the porch. And she, to have a couple chairs and then French doors to allow room to walk around.
Right.
We feel like the 15 feet up here is going to give us the correct amount of room on the porch to navigate. So this is what we've come up with on our adjustment. We've also carefully looked at the landscape to soften the deck, based again on the comments from the last meeting. If we go to the last page, should be in. I don't know if it's on this one. Stapled it on. Oh, you have it on yours. So there's our landscape I worked with a landscape designer to help me with this, and then also a couple nurseries to choose the correct plants that are drought resistant and so on, and that are going to, be the right size and such. What I've also got here that I think will help is a couple of Photoshops. This represents, I'm trying to do, hopefully this isn't the camera. Last time I was here, I was putting it all over the place.
Yeah, just put right here and you'll be fine.
So this represents what it would look like over here on this side between the deck and this neighbor. These little plants here are shown here. I got extra copy. I don't know if you want to pass them around.
We can see.
Okay. And then we've got some more views here to the right. Let's see here. I already put them. I know they're in here somewhere. Oh, they're in a stack. Okay, so this picture here is going to represent this corner. So we're going to plant these hedges. My wife's always wanted to, the hedges there bordering a sidewalk or a pathway. And then, in the corners here, it's going to help provide some privacy for, everybody. And then this just shows kind of a mock-up. We're going to put a couple of small citruses up on the deck, and then these little box planters, and then the flowers that go in here kind of grow vertically, so they'll kind of block the sides of the deck a little bit. And then some star jasmine, around the front of it, just again to kind of soften the whole deck look. And then there's, I had another view of this corner somewhere. I'll find it. So we've spent a lot of time. Here's the other corner. Kind of matches this corner with the same kind of, tree and such. And so we feel like that really softens the deck. I've had my neighbor if I'm facing my house, my neighbor on the left, we provided a letter last time that I was here, and he's all in favor of everything we're doing. I have this today I brought in. There's a lady that lives on my side of the street, and she knows my house well. She used to play with the girls that used to live there many years ago. And so she came by and she asked to walk through, and I showed her my plans, and we walked around the whole house, and her name's Kate Meechan, and she said, I walk through and cycle by this house frequently and ask to walk through it while under construction. The upstairs deck is not overdone or a problem. The entire outside plan will enhance our neighborhood. So I'd like to provide that to the board.
Okay.
So I think I've covered, the comments from the last meeting as extensively as I could. I helped with my son doing some Photoshop for me.
Cool.
And there's a little chart here, and it shows the trees and how high they get, and the watering schedule. We're going to hand water everything. Amazingly, according to the Water Conservation website, you don't have to water that much. So I've probably been over-watering plants for a long time. Probably why they die. So I think I've covered, everything. To me, this is the minimum size deck and porch that would, allow us to utilize our furniture and my household properly.
Well, it looks like from our minutes that you had it originally at 17 feet. And
Correct.
we asked you to reduce it to 15, which you've done.
Yes.
Okay. Good. All right. Thank you very much. Is that your presentation?
That's my presentation. Yeah.
Do we have any letters or public comment?
I don't have any public comment that was sent to me.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So I will bring it to the board. Do you have any questions?
No, looks pretty straightforward.
Okay.
My
I have a
understanding,
question. Go ahead.
it's already in place.
No, it's a Photoshop.
Yeah, Photoshop.
It is Photoshop.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah, I noticed that too.
technology.
Yeah, right.
Great.
It's all artificial turf out in front, huh?
Yeah, that's existing from the prior owner. So we're going to try to, make it look, spice it up a little bit
Yeah.
and clean it up. It needs to be, all the construction and been going on.
Let's see
Needs a little cleanup.
Let's see the elevations. You had a question, Bernie?
Yes, thank you. Is the tile that's depicted, is that what the saltillo, that shade, and that
That's
is what you're
actually-
thinking?
That's existing.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
existing.
yeah.
And have you talked to your one neighbor? Did you talk to the other neighbor?
She, the woman that lives there, her name's Bridget. She, her son owns the house, and he lives out of state, and he travels around the world. So she gave me his email. I've been trying to reach him. He's in Thailand. She said, I don't see any problem, but you need to ask my son, is what she told me.
But you haven't been able to find him?
I haven't been able to track him, yeah. I tried him 3 times by email, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, do we have any comments?
Well, I think that he's complied with what we asked him to do. The landscape looks good, so I can support this addition.
Okay, great. So would someone like to make a motion?
Is this for final?
Let's see, it requires coastal review. Is that still the case?
That is just something you guys need to examine when
What kind of
looking at the
plans? Does he
project.
have a full set of plans?
Sure.
What says project requires
Yeah,
coastal review?
Right, it
Joe's-
doesn't need any
Joe's
kind of
reviewing
exemption or
plans to
anything.
It doesn't need anything else.
Let's see how complete his drawings are.
So what are the dimensions
final.
now of the deck with your new size?
It's 24 by 15. It's 361 square feet technically.
Looks pretty complete to me, your design.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I move to approve the project for project design approval and final. And find the following findings, neighborhood preservation findings, that this project is consistent in appearance and consistent with the scenic character of the city, that it is the proposed development is compatible with the neighborhood in its size, bulk, and scale, and that it also has quality of architecture and materials.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second it.
Okay. All right, I have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, you've got a project.
Thank you.
10-day
Appreciate it.
appeal?
And there is a 10-day appeal period for this.
Can do
one.
pre-
Here's your PDA if you wish to submit it now. That's just your project design approval and final approval, so if you go ahead and you want to submit the building now, you can do so. See whether the 10-day appeal period
Okay.
or someone wants to appeal the project.
Okay.
And then did you want to keep any of the plans, or you
Okay.
can take 2 sets if you want?
Oh, can I? Okay.
I think that's okay. Our next project is 1526 La Vista del Oceano Drive.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Don.
You said you have the new.
Yes, I got the new drawings with it. Updated a few of the colors and stuff.
Color's cool. I like color.
Yeah.
So if you guys could introduce yourselves.
That's one, designer.
That needs to be
It's on.
Paula Saylor.
Make sure your microphone's on.
They're on.
And I'm Stephen Saylor.
Nice to meet you. Don, would you like to, let's see, do we have any previous minutes on this project?
Yes, we should. They're a year old, but we should have.
Pardon?
They're a year old, but they should.
Oh, well.
That long, huh? Okay. The board continued the project indefinitely to the staff hearing officer to return to the full board with the following comments. The board supports the 2 requested modifications in the front and interior setbacks. The board supports the additional garage space and can justify the new 91% FAR for this property. The board approves of the wall in the public right-of-way as proposed and reviewed by Public Works. Number 4, study the arched door proportions at south elevation of the second floor master bedroom. And number 5, increase the proportion of the beam under the balcony. Action James and Miller, 400. Motion carried. Bernstein, Pearson, Woolery were absent. Wow.
Okay, so can you go over what you've done?
Okay. Here's the elevation. You want to control this? It was back September last year was our last meeting. I know one thing was we widened the space between the portico and the deck.
Can you study the arched door proportions at south elevation of the second floor master bedroom? Okay, was that done? Or?
Well, we studied them. This is what we want to provide. It's a large door that is. I think Fred was talking about a little bit of more space in here, but it just didn't seem to work out too good. So.
Okay, and the increase the proportion of the beam under the balcony?
That's where we had it. The details change now.
Is it on 8? Is it a detail?
No, it's bigger than more than that. More defined than that. There it is here. We had dropped this down and made this list a column in here, so I widened it down to the top of the column.
What's it look like in the elevation? Show us the elevation.
This was quite thin at the original time of the spot.
Okay. Does that complete your presentation?
Just wanted to point out the colors that we're trying to do. There's our stucco is we're trying to match the existing because we have walls and structure that's still going to exist. So we're going to match. It's kind of an off-white, almost like a what was that color we had? The eggshell style color. The columns, they come in an ivory, and we felt that it's a pretty good contrast where they have the lighter color on the stucco, and then the ivory columns are a little bit, just a shade darker to give it a little contrast.
Is that a prefab column that you?
Yes, yeah. Yes. They come in sections. They're three split. And we're going to match the existing windows that are in blue-gray color. And we want our overhangs to be in the brown tones and the more mahogany color of the doors, and the entry door will be the same. This is a veneer on the stone wall we have on the front. It's a two-tiered tiered. It's a planter space in between.
That changed.
Yeah.
Because originally there was a buttressed wall that's sort of caving in.
Yeah, this is the wall that we're taking out.
Oh, I see. So now you're going to do a double wall.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
And it'll actually be set back because remember there was a concern about the flagstone going over into the city utility easement or something.
And then some of our landscaping. I kind of did a little landscape plan on page 1A. And because a lot of stuff that kind of like an erosion control as well. In the rear, we want to save all the flagstones in the back. The trees here, all the flagstone will stay, and all the plantings that are here will remain. And we have a little garden on the side over here that's going to remain as well. And likewise, we want to save as much as we can on the across the planter, across the front of the house, and up the sides. So the only new that we're doing is just on this little slope here. We want to put some kind of a ground cover on the little bit of slope we have here, and then this will have our rain garden will be in our planter down here. And they talked about just using some lantana or something like that, a multicolored lantana.
Basically moving back this wall.
Yes, correct.
And then terracing, and then put another
Yes,
wall there.
yes.
And terracing up instead of sloping the whole thing up.
Correct.
And you're doing away with all these buttresses?
Yes, because that was all done because of the wall was overturning.
What's a new?
This is a new garage.
It's a new garage.
That's correct. Yeah,
Double,
right.
double
see what the
garage.
elevation-
Across there.
Did you see this license? Is this new to you?
No, I'm just
I mean,
trying to remember what I looked at before.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
There's
You
our
moved it
setback.
you moved it over. Yeah, it's gone over.
And we're recessing it back a little bit, another couple of feet too, to give it a little more, so we can park a car in front of the wall now, where it's very difficult.
Okay. Is that your presentation?
Right, yes.
All right. Okay, I'll close it to comment or
Question?
to your comments and go to public comments. Any letters or public comment?
I did not receive any letters from the public.
Okay, David, do you have?
I have a question for the applicant. So as part of the condition for the staff hearing officer, there was a condition that the roof of the garage shall be designed to prohibit use of it as a roof deck. So I just wanted to understand how that has been accomplished.
Is your mic on?
Yeah.
Basically, it's just a hot mount gravel roof on top of it.
Was it a deck originally? Was that
No,
never
no,
was?
never was.
Okay, so
You see
so
by
you
the
didn't
pictures.
change it. So
We're rebuilding the whole new garage, frankly.
okay. So does that satisfy your question, David?
Or do we need to put a note on there to justify that, or?
I think there should be some clarifying notes, but that can be dealt with
Okay.
at final approval.
Yeah, that can happen.
Looks like he's got enough for final.
Okay.
A couple of
Can we give
questions.
it
Yeah, I guess we'll close it to public comment and go to back to the board for questions. Bernie?
Thank you.
Details.
I was wondering, did you ever, because it's pretty tall, and I'm trying to visualize it's essentially 3 stories, but so are all the other houses around. Well, the garage, and then the middle level, and then the top level. So,
I see.
in my opinion, I'd like to see how it configures to the big, tall houses that are, is it taller, or is it lower, or do we have some photos of that?
Here's what's on each side.
You can see the
I know it's on either side, but I don't know how it fits.
See the neighboring house down the street?
The house next to us is exactly like ours, the one to the east. But they have
Bring this under the camera since it's under discussion.
and then the one to the west is 3 stories from the ground level, and 4 if you included the garage. It's huge.
So even higher.
So this
Yeah,
is
But this is the one that's 3 doors away, or 4 doors away to the east.
That's right.
So,
We're much lower
do we
than that.
have any idea of where your house is compared? Do we have a sketch or something?
Are you asking like a site section or something?
Yeah, well, just to see how it fits in.
We have sections of the house.
Well, I think what Bernie's asking is that how it scales next to the other houses.
I'm not going to have anything here.
Going down the street, each one of these homes were originally like oil workers' homes. They were built in 1928, and they were all single-story with tile roofs, except the home to our west, which was, I guess, the supervisor's house, so he had a bigger one. It was
This
two
house here,
stories.
this is the one to the west. The ones to the east are this one, and basically they're all single-story houses. Like
Right.
you said, this one to the west, or to the east is exactly looks like the opposite.
The
So-
two houses to the east are still one story, then the next one was made 2 stories, and the next one after that was made 2 stories. The next one after that is still a single story, and then one next to that is 2 stories. So it's
Right, and some of those were built before we even existed, so we have to be aware of our guidelines and how we're fitting in. So I guess if it's moving forward, I'd still like to see something like that, even if it goes to consent.
Well, he's within, if you look at he measures at the highest point 24 feet.
Page 4.
9.
Well, if you also look on page 3, you can see through a section that says plate heights and overall heights.
Which are 8 feet, right?
Yeah. 8 feet second floor, looks like
So
8 floor.
there's not much more you could do there.
So it looks pretty standard.
And we lowered the pitch of the roof to compensate for that.
So
Is
I
this
would.
does the property border on the street back, or is there a house behind you?
Actually, this home used to own the property behind
There
us,
is a
but it
house.
was sold to the next door neighbor so he could build a driveway that goes through there. So behind our home is really green space
Yeah.
that isn't owned by us.
So the road turns and comes up.
That's
behind.
right.
Hairpins way up,
Yeah.
so the next people behind us are
Yeah.
60 feet above us.
So the house to the west is a 2-story, and it's been remodeled.
Correct.
And
3-story, actually.
3-story,
yeah.
in fact. Garage, and then the.
And all the homes on that street, it's visually, it's kind of the same, like you said, it's all like 3 stories almost, because the garage is like 1 story and then the second.
Talk to your neighbors.
7 neighbors. We took the plans, had everybody really look at them. The neighbors to our west took pictures of our plans. So we've really worked hard to keep everybody in the loop with exactly what we're doing.
You're the only one basically on the street that set it back. Everybody else is
Right on it.
right on where it's been, right on the garage
Correct.
Yes.
wall line. See this one?
Some of the garages down the street look like they're a 2-car garage, but one is owned by one home and one by the next home.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Sure.
And there's the one down there was the one that had a 2-car garage.
that's right.
You want to put
I think that was the last of the oil workers.
And the home originally had a tile roof, and it was replaced with a shingle roof. And we're putting a tile roof back on it to bring it back to its.
Okay. My question is, we asked about the proportions of the front windows, and you wanted to keep them. What's your
Well, I didn't
take
want
on that?
I didn't want to raise up the parapet too high. I didn't want to raise this up. I want to keep this element here.
Did
But I
you bring
wanted-
them down to 7.5 feet?
The windows are 7.5, am I? Okay.
Yeah, we originally had them at 8, and we brought them
they're
down.
still at 8.
They're still at 8.
Yeah. So I would, yeah.
If we, 7.5 is not a big deal, but is it worth it?
Well, I'll wait till comments.
Okay, all right.
Any other questions?
Chair, so walk me through the front entry gate, and you walk up the stairs, and then, but the roof of the garage is tile or not tile?
No, it's
It's a
gravel.
flat roof.
It's a flat
with
roof,
a
but the
parapet.
house is tile,
garage.
but the garage has just a flat roof. But it's not to be accessible.
Right, exactly.
So David was saying, how do we maintain that? You know, maybe you're not going to use it for a roof deck, but how do we maintain that the next owner, or if you sell it, it's not going to become a roof deck?
So that David said that they'll work on that as a jurisdictional thing, right? Or do you feel that I don't know?
I don't know.
I mean, if you keep it as a hot mount roof, it's not going to people getting on top is at their own risk. So I don't have an issue with it.
I don't have an issue with it.
So
It's raised up.
yeah,
as
it is
well.
higher too.
So-
So the stairs do not go there, in other words. There's no way to get up there as it's currently designed.
Correct.
Okay, so is that sufficient, or do you still need some more language?
I believe the design is sufficient to meet that requirement.
So there's no stairs up there to get up there, so. Okay, so I think we
Okay.
can let that one rest.
All right. So we'll open up to comments now. Does anyone have comments?
I think it's a really lovely design. It looks very pleasant from the south elevation, from the street. I like that the wall has been pushed back so that you have a double wall and some plantings in there. I think that's really going to go far to soften the whole, experience of the house from the neighbors and from the street. And that you even took a little space there to give people a little extra pedestrian space with that brickwork. I think that was really thoughtful. I can approve this project. I think it's really nice. I think it's an asset to the neighborhood.
Anyone else have a comment?
When this project was here before, I guess I wasn't here, did you bring in samples of the stone and the fixtures and all that?
We should have pictures of them
Were your big
Can we see those?
those
yes.
pictures done?
right here.
Is that the sandstone
Oh, there's the
Eldorado?
stone, yeah.
There's the stone,
That's pretty.
and this is the color, and then this is the wall. This is the wall here. So it's that color, right?
Right.
You said eggshell white, something like that.
It's
This is
kind of match what's there.
Yeah.
All the walls are stuccoed around the structure, around the exterior walls of the property.
And the front wall is, what's happening to that one?
That's
Well, that's what we're
we've
talking
gone over
about
it
here.
twice.
The double wall.
It's
that's
a double
The
wall.
double
It's
wall
pulling
with
it
the
back.
stone.
And
it's
planters.
terraced.
Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Terrace back.
Okay.
Right. Okay, my only comment
Okay.
is I'm a little uncomfortable with the proportions here. This looks still a little funny to me. I think you actually dropping it 6 inches will make a huge difference. I know that sounds...
That you have a bigger header above it.
Yeah.
You're going to leave the parapet at the
I
same
didn't want to
height.
leave it,
Yeah.
make it higher.
Yeah, lower the windows. Another suggestion is maybe put a row of tile on the top. That's usually a look too, but you don't think that's...
Yeah, that's-
I think if you lower the windows, it'll look like the windows do belong. Right now, they're a little higher. They're higher than what's
Yeah.
happening over here,
Right.
and they look out of proportion.
Yeah.
If you lower the windows and give it that better height, or the height strongness right there, it would look better.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing
I like
see.
6 inches?
Yeah.
Straight edge.
Okay, any more comments?
Have you addressed your tier 3 SWIMP in this set of plans?
Yeah, he's got he's mentioned that there is a rain garden section in that planter where they push the wall back. So I don't know if that's the only requirement for Tier 3, is to have a rain garden. Is it Tier 3 or 2?
I had it down as tier 3. David, do you remember?
It's tier 3 because it's over 500 square feet
I don't
of
believe,
impervious.
500 more square footage, right? Correct?
You have the garage and then you have the ground floor additions.
But it's more than what was existing. I mean, I had a conversation with Jaime Limon one time, and it's 500 additional pervious square footage.
500.
I'm under that. I think I've noted it on the plan.
Additional pervious.
500 new or replaced impervious.
Pervious.
No, it's just new. He told me new.
The garage was right.
I had a discussion with him one time with a
Well,
major.
can we make a motion and have them come back maybe to
Oh, that's
consent?
acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, SWIMP will need to be addressed
I have
prior to
the
final
same
approval,
thing
so if we're not
on
there yet, we can
Okay.
have this continuing discussion with the applicant.
Well,
I'm not understanding.
Yeah, I'm not following.
well, apparently there's a little misunderstanding regarding the swim, whether it's tier 1 or tier 3.
Stormwater management.
Stormwater management saying that it should be, so he's saying there's 418 square foot impervious area added. 418.
And I had another project where Jaime Limon was involved, and I said, tell me what it is. And I said, It's 500 square foot new, not replaced, because we have other square footage that's there. So that was my conversation with him. So should I have that conversation again with him?
We can have that conversation.
Okay, fine.
So I guess, all right, would someone like to make a motion? I guess my feeling is that's something you can work out through the city.
You can give the project design approval, and you cannot give the project final approval without the Tier 3 swim requirements being met. So you can, if you want to continue back to consent, or...
Okay,
He's
thank
got
you.
everything else.
So who would like to make a motion?
I guess I will.
Okay.
I would like to move to approve the project for project design approval with the following conditions: that the architect lower the arched windows on the south elevation by 6 inches in order to bring them into proportion with the rest of the structure, that we still will require the Tier 3 SWIMP, and other than that, we find the design compatible in consistency and appearance, and compatible with the neighborhood in its size, bulk, and scale. It's using quality architecture and materials, and they have definitely complied with good neighbor guidelines.
Great, thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second. Joe can second.
Okay.
Board Member Woolley may ask or
Yes.
recommend that you revise the motion regarding the SWIMP
Oh.
to have the applicant consult with staff to determine compliance with SWIM requirements, rather
Okay.
than
Yes.
outright state that
So
it
what he
needs
said, I will definitely.
Tier 3 SWIMP.
So, yeah, so.
Okay, thank you.
Should we have a
Staff.
note on the plans pertaining to the roof of the garage that you questioned?
Oh, well, I think we handled that because there's no stairs.
I think we're okay.
Okay.
I forgot to say that we're going to continue the project to consent.
Consent, okay. That's just for the Tier 3? Tier 3?
And for the window adjustment,
Okay.
It would be for final approval.
and for final approval, yeah.
Next Monday?
Yeah, be next Monday.
I'll have to see if I can get that on the agenda.
Okay, so we had a second. All right. All those in favor, say
Aye.
aye.
All right.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. There's a 10-day appeal period for this?
Yes.
Okay. There's your...
Okay, let me just keep one copy. You can take the other 2 copies if you'd like. Otherwise, I'll just...
So understand that the Tier 3 was not a requirement, but it needs to be explored to see if it is, to get clarification.
I'll do that with that.
Okay.
Do they want to take this?
You
can take 2 sets. I keep some of the sets.
Is this enough?
I think so.
Did you get a chance to get it into
You have the,
What?
where was the, did you put that with it? There it is.
There you go. Okay, our next item, let's see, it's
They're not here.
Are they?
not here.
They should be.
1630 Mira Vista.
Yes, they-
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. Our next project is 1630 Mira Vista Avenue. The applicants would please step forward. I want to take note that this particular project is being presented by Tom Smith as the architect. Tom and I work for the same firm, but this is a project that is outside that firm, and I have no relationship with it. Okay, would you please introduce yourselves?
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you? My name is Tom
Okay.
Smith. I'm the architect for this project, and this is,
Aaron Carroll, landscape architect, and
at the end here.
Trish Allen with Suzanne Elledge, Planning and Permitting.
Great.
So we've got Pete.
and I'm the contractor, Pete Spieler, Spieler Construction.
All right, thank you. Do we have any minutes for this? Denise, is this it?
Oh, I guess so. Is it?
Is that 16?
Mira Vista, yes, this is it. Okay, so at our last motion was that we continued this project indefinitely to the staff hearing officer for return to the full board with the following comments. The board appreciates the design of the new master suite and garage. Number 2, study the bay window in the master bedroom and consider reducing the size. Number 3, the board finds the relocation of the broad king palm trees to be appropriate. Number 4, the board is in support of the modification to allow the new garage and the master suite above it to encroach into the interior setback. Action Woolery Pierce 500, motion carried. James and Miller absent.
Oh, you missed it last time.
I did.
So since we were here, I believe that was in May, if I'm not mistaken, we did go away and went to the staff hearing officer and got the modifications approved. No problem. I think it went all well. There were no project conditions to forward. So we're here for everything. Project design approval. We'll happily take final approval should you be satisfied with our detailing.
And I have a more complete set of landscape plans that I'd like to.
Okay.
Yes, once Tom's done, we'll slip those
Let
in.
Tom first go through his plans and.
Okay. Based on the last meeting, about the one comment that the board wanted us to do was to have a look at the bay window over the garage and to re-study it. And that shows up over here on sheet.
A4.
Here we go. On sheet A4.0. And I don't have the reworked version with me. I tried something with a little bit smaller, and one, it met with disapproval from the owner, and they really didn't like it. And two, trying to make this bay window a bit smaller, I think threw off the balance and the composition of the outside facade. The idea we were trying to get with is something that was balanced from this side to the other, which is why we have a gable end, like this gable end here. And they wanted to have a good view from this bedroom out, but at the same time, we didn't want this window to overpower anything. The dominant bay window or window element on this facade is the center bay window, which is existing. So we didn't want it near that big. But reducing this in size, it created kind of a funny effect with the garage door being, as it is, 16 feet wide, and then this shrinking up. So we opted for, I believe it's a 9-foot wide window with little flanking extensions on the bay. So this is still proportionally a bit less than the garage door below, without being excessively so. And we think that this kind of works with the rest of the facade.
Okay. And do you have other details to
well,
see if we get your final design approval, perhaps?
Yeah, we have architectural details in here. For starters here, we just kind of standard eave, rake, and ridge detailing. We're keeping the existing roofing, which is a kind of a lightweight S-tile that's been on there forever. And we're duplicating that. There's a little gable over the garage, and we're duplicating that over the garage. And then this is a cross-section through that bay window here.
Stuff here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Aaron, would you like to show your landscape plan? Sure.
Demolition plan, the 4 king palms are being transplanted, the existing stairway, pool deck, and portion of the walls are being demolished, as well as this rear patio. Site plan didn't change much from the preliminary. Driveway material changed from a cobble to a stamped concrete with planted joints, so it's still permeable. We added a really small turf area here, so we have a little less paving up there. This section didn't change at all. We've got existing wall sloping up to a 5-foot stone wall, which would serve as the pool fence, and then about a 29-inch wall there, so we don't need a guardrail at the pool deck. There's minimal amount of lighting, which I'll show you cut sheets on those. And our stormwater Tier 3 requirements, we are basically taking all the roof water and the water from the rear yard, and it's going to be directed to these infiltration basins, which is those gray areas there. So it's just seeping into the ground. Details: pool deck, tile. There's the existing wall. There's the front gate, stairway, pool gate, pool fencing. Here are the light fixtures. The path lights would be these, and the wall-mounted lights would be these copper Aurora fixtures. Irrigation is all drip, compliant with everything the city wants. Planting plan. We've got a mix of succulents on these terraced walls. Here are the king palms that we're transplanting. I still need to get the fire department stamp on this plan. The Ann Marks has been on vacation, so I haven't been able to meet with her yet. So everything's pretty much drought tolerant, except for the one little lawn area there. And that's it.
All right, thank you. So, anything else? All right, I will bring it back to the board. Does anyone have any questions? If no questions, I will. Any questions?
Yeah, what's a Scopologina?
What?
It's like a blue chalk stick.
It's what?
Like a blue chalk stick, sorry.
Oh, is it?
Yes, so the new wall is how tall in the front?
Can you pinpoint what you're referring to here, Bernie?
Okay, I'm looking at the description, and I'm looking at the thing about the administrative height exception. I was just wondering what that was.
Which wall are you talking? I'd like to see what you mean referring to. This wall here?
Well, I don't know what this is referring to. It looks like it's in the front. It's exceeding 3.5 feet, and it's within 10 feet. So I guess it's.
Yeah.
So how tall is that wall?
It's 5 feet.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Any comments? If there are no comments, would someone like to make a motion?
I have
Okay.
add in. Got a new garage.
Yes.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Hey, Joe.
Well, there isn't anybody else. Open the public comment.
And I probably should know this, but I don't. What was here before? If you lowered the garage and added a second bedroom to it.
Well, here, the front elevation, I think, is the best one to turn to for this, Joe, because what happened was there was a garage in this area right here. The garage floor was set down.
So the roof dropped down?
No, the roof stayed up high. It was a very tall garage space inside, like a story and a half, basically. And so what we proposed, and the drive going up to it was like a 15% grade.
More than
that. Yeah, steeper than that. So what we decided to do was take where that garage lived and push it farther down.
Nice.
And then in the space that we're vacating, that becomes the master suite. And that way we could live within the footprint of the house.
That was pretty brilliant.
And the driveway isn't so steep anymore.
Yeah.
It's really steep.
Yeah,
Could
well, that
you-
was really smart, I
Could
think.
you do the same thing about explaining the basement treatment?
The basement treatment.
Yeah, so what is the basement going, is the basement existing?
No, what the basement and the new garage are kind of synonymous terms. If we look here at the floor plan, this is the existing floor plan right now. And here is the garage. When you leave the kitchen, you go down this ramp because this garage is like a half floor below everything else. And so, in order to create it, to do what we did, we took that garage and pushed it further into the ground. We're excavating.
It's not a basement, it's the garage.
Yeah. So the garage is dug down into the ground.
You put steps where the ramp was.
Yes. Yes. And so you go downstairs to the garage. This cross section kind of explains what we do.
See, Bernie, there's no basement per se. It's a garage.
Yeah. The old garage floor used to be about here. And then we pushed it down.
See, it's kind of confusing because you say basement. No,
I know. I'm sorry.
Right, and then it talks about grading and stuff too, so I just was trying to figure that out.
The grading is because they're lowering the floor.
And
They lowered the pitch of the driveway, so by doing
and
that.
that lowers the driveway
Yeah.
as well.
And what that made it happen was that, and that's what I was going to question, was that how could they do that? And then if you notice, the building didn't grow in height at all, even though they added this bedroom, because they went down instead of up.
Right, okay.
I forgot to mention that if there was anyone out in the audience, any public comment or any letters?
There was no public comment. I was just going to say we needed.
Okay.
And when you were here last time, did you talk to your neighbors?
Yes, we did.
And what was the feedback?
Well, the feedback was almost uniformly positive. There was one neighbor to the immediate right was a little concerned about the new gable that comes out over the garage and what that would do to his view. So we had put a story pole there so he could see, and then he was okay with it. But Trish and I went door to door and introduced ourselves to neighbors. And then the one neighbor to the right, when he wanted me to come back and explain it to him, he took it upon himself to kind of make another mini neighborhood meeting out of it. So there was actually 4 or 5 neighbors there.
Okay.
So we have been talking with them face to face and explaining the
great.
project to them.
Great, thank you.
Are we, as far as a complete set of plans, he's got enough to show us for us to go through. Do we just require that the building department push that? I mean, as far as, there's not a full set of plans here.
No, it's not.
basically.
Structural is being worked on right now.
Okay, structural and...
So we can't give it final.
Is that correct? I thought if there were...
I don't think you need structural
I don't
for
think
final.
you need structural,
It's
do you, for final approval?
Advisory.
I know in the county you don't.
Well, we usually see a lot of details before we give it final.
Well, because we're only working in this area here, the only details that are being developed is the new ridge, and with that, the rake and the eave, and a cross-section showing how that bay is being done, and that's what I've provided.
Did you walk through the details adequately, Tom? Because I am looking at the list, and structural is not required, but I just want to make sure that each board member has had time to see what those details are.
Well, first of all, let me save this. Let me say, just leave this as a placeholder and go back to the elevations. So this gets a bit awkward. Let's go to A3.3 for starters.
Okay, let's get this so it works. Okay.
Now, if we go to sheet A3.3, which is the roof plan, the only new roof that's happening is this portion right here, which is a gable that's coming off the existing roof, and this little bay. And so here we're calling out, there's only 4 details. There's the ridge, there's the eave, there's the rake, and there's the cross-section through that new bay. And those are the details that are provided on sheet A5. And
it was a question. It was a question for me. Can we? I mean, I would like to give it final. Can we
You
give
can
it final?
give it final approval without structural. It's just a matter of if it
Solves my question.
meets your
Okay, yeah, because there's this detail.
You were looking for something.
I'm trying to dig something out.
But yeah, we are currently in the middle of having the structural drawings produced on this.
All right, so that being said, someone like to make a motion?
I'll make it. I'll try. I'll give it a try. I move that we give the project sign approval and final approval. We have observed that you did do what we asked you to do, and it meets consistency and appearance for our guidelines, compatibility with the surrounding neighborhood. Great architecture, great, looks like good materials, and if you follow the drawings, it should look very good. That's my motion.
I'll second the motion, and would the maker of the motion like to add that they did meet good neighbor guidelines?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. That's the motion. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Is there a 10-day appeal period for this?
Yes,
Yes,
there is.
okay.
Thank you very much.
All right.
That's the landscape that we reviewed.
Oh, this is extra stuff. This one's got our stamp. Does it matter?
No, you can take those. One if you want that one as well.
And there were some pictures, but did you get the pictures that were out?
The picture's right here.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, gang.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Nice and appreciate it.
Yeah. We aim to please.
That's right.
You want this one, or you want?
Trish, you want another set?
Sure.
Okay, we're on to 640 Aurora Avenue.
Hello.
Hi there.
How are you?
Very
It
good.
doesn't say new anymore. I guess it's not new if it doesn't say new, right?
It's not new.
Oh,
Okay.
You just haven't seen it in a real long time.
Minutes.
Oh, what's this for?
yeah, I remember.
This is for this. Okay.
Hey, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. Unless you want to read.
Yeah, introduce yourself first.
Okay. Jason Grant with J. Grant Design Studio.
Okay, thank you. Denise, do we have minutes?
Yes, we do. All right. At the last time we saw this, we continued it indefinitely to the full board with the following comments. Number 1, the board appreciates the centered placement of the second story. Number 2, study the articulation of the windows on the second story. Number 3, restudy the landscape plan around the side of the garage along the wall, maintaining the continuity of the plant material. Number 4, the modification for the second story is aesthetically appropriate and acceptable. Action Pierce Bernstein, 700, motion carried.
Great, thank you.
Oh, perfect. Well said.
Refresh our.
They are the same, yes. They're all the same. So we went off and got our mod, and our mod was granted, and here we are, and now we're back. So we're on Aurora, about halfway up the street, right around here.
That's very well.
Here's our existing little house as it sits today, and here's the rear yard and pictures of the neighborhood. And we kind of have a mix, obviously, of 1 and 2 stories. Oh, come on over,
Here I
Bernie.
come.
Come on. We won't leave you out of it.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is our little house right here that we're going to improve upon.
Mm-hmm.
And so here is our site plan. And so that modification was actually because the existing garage was already sitting in the front and side yard setback. And since I was making a modification to that house, then there was a need for the mod. So just so everybody's clear, everything we're proposing is well within the setbacks. It was just this little house just happened to be in that configuration.
You demolish?
No, it's all staying just as
Staying,
staying like it is. Once you alter it, it used to be if you altered it here, but then now they said it over there. But anyway, as soon as I figure out all the rules, they'll change them again anyway.
Yeah, you're about to.
So here's our existing footprint. We're doing a small single-story addition in this direction. This light blue here is a single-story addition towards the rear, and this poche color is where the second-story addition is occurring on the existing house.
Okay, let me.
Yeah.
This isn't right, but.
This is existing?
Yes.
Yeah, well, it's not quite right, but that's okay.
Existing. Where is that line on this one?
Whereas
That
this line
north
here.
line, the north.
That
is that
that
same
is
line.
that same line. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just showing a kind of a pictorial where the second story is occurring.
Okay.
And so our first story addition in the back occurs here. That small first story addition in the front occurs here. We'll do a covered porch addition as well. Here is our proposed second floor plan. Come up a set of stairs, master bedroom, master bath, a loft area, and a sitting room with a balcony which is going off towards our backyard, not looming over our neighbor. And this is what we're doing. So as seen from the street, this is that one little first story addition. Of course, there's our second story addition. Here's our covered porch to give the house a nice sense of entry and that friendly neighborhood feel. This is looking at the rear elevation. This is where that balcony is occurring, long distance away from our property, looking onto our own backyard. And then this is looking towards the ocean. And then so this is where the addition is kind of set back in there. So existing garage is here, existing residence is here. We are doing a small 6-foot basically addition there. And this is all kind of nestled back into the roof line essentially to kind of step it back. There's the last elevation, which is kind of facing that uphill.
Okay.
And there's the roof plan. Here are the architectural details, the covered porch entry roof, the covered porch post and pillar detail, the balcony railing detail, our eave detail, our windows detail with the extended sill and the trim wrapping around with casement windows, high quality, good windows with a cladding on the outside. And then siding details, waterproofing details for the deck, some flashing details for the roof. And last but not least, David Jones prepared an updated landscape plan, which kind of accounts for this. And so we have an existing large tree, which is there, and there's a slope that kind of carries itself up, and everything kind of is always kind of sloughed down and onto the sidewalk there. So the wish list is to put a small garden wall, plaster garden wall that goes along here, which is actually kind of consistent with what other people have had to do along there. Planting along there, planting on the other side of the drive, and some planting right up against where the house would be. And then that wall, just to kind of give you a sense, would look like this and just kind of step up and then be just kind of
block?
Yeah, concrete block, but like with a plaster finish, essentially. And that is my presentation. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, great. Thank you. Was there anyone from the public wishing to say anything? Do we have any letters? Any public comment?
I did not receive any public comment.
Oh, okay. So I guess my question is, it says study the articulation of the windows at the second story. Do you know what that was all about?
Yes, I do. And that was Fred's comment. Since Fred's not here, I'll speak for him.
All right.
So it was related to this little architectural element here. I think I had a window here and a window here, and he said it'd be nice if we kind of pull those together and kind of create. And that's kind of what we did, which actually was a good suggestion. So where this little part articulates out, we kind of collected those windows, put them all together, and did the same thing here to kind of make it feel like a little, perch, essentially.
Kind of like a Victorian
view
tower.
It is a bit.
Yeah.
Just a little architectural detail. It's a sitting room off the master, and so it's just a nice spot where you can sit and enjoy the ocean views.
And then restate the landscape plan around the side of the garage along the wall, maintaining the continuity of the plant material. Was that done?
Yeah, that was an updated plan, so hopefully our landscape professional took care of all that, I'm sure.
And this hasn't changed anywhere?
No. That we just had to go for the mod, and
okay.
So that massing and everything's all the same. It was just finite little details.
So about the outdoor shower,
The
city's allowing those still, are they?
They will not. There happens to be an outdoor shower now, and that has to go away as part of this approval. And so you'll see that on the list of scopes of things to take care of.
Yes, Denise.
Could you repeat the landscape requirement again?
Said here, restudy the landscape plan around the side of the garage along the wall, maintaining the continuity of the plant material.
So where's the garage here? Here.
Yeah, right there. That's mainly.
So did they mean up this
No. It was just the frontage. Yeah, just the frontage along that
so
wall.
So that's been done.
You're right.
Okay. So, any other questions?
Do we have a sample of is it a composition shingle roof?
It'll be a composition shingle. I don't have a sample with me, but I'll come back with a color board and all that good stuff. I was just hoping to get I think we're scheduled for what used to be called preliminary.
And your second story plate height is 8 feet?
Correct.
Okay. And the first story is what?
So what we're doing is where we're doing the second story addition, we'll be at 9 feet for that portion of the house. The existing house is 8 feet, so this will be 9 and then 8. So where we have to reconstruct the floor area below, we're going to bump that up to 9. And we kind of have our existing, it's 8 feet out here where the existing house is, and once again, it's where the roof is dying back into it, essentially.
Okay.
And have you talked to some of the neighbors?
Oh, we've talked with quite a few of the neighbors, and everybody's has been. Packets, of course, were handed out to everybody, and I think maybe you don't recall. The biggest concern was actually from our neighbor above us, just related to making sure that we didn't get the house too high, and that's why you kind of see this illustration that I put there showing her finished grade and the height and the eye line. So at our 22.6, we're actually still well below.
Pretty low.
Yeah. It's kind of the nature of that neighborhood. They all kind of, each lot kind of steps down.
All right, thank you. Okay, with that, someone would like to... Comments?
Yeah. This is a beautiful house. I like it a lot. It's really nicely proportioned, I think. I like how you nestled in the second story the way you did. It's very inviting. It's a nice design. I can certainly support this project, and I think the landscape choices are good as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Bernie?
Yeah, no, I have positive comments too.
Okay, so, Joe?
I like it.
Okay.
One thing, he looks to me like he's got all his details already.
I basically have everything, but I just don't have the color board. So
Okay, so
if the board's comfortable with it, I could come back on consent with the color board. And so.
All right, would someone like to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Okay, good.
Well, how does the board feel? Is that acceptable to go to consent?
Yeah, he's got
Okay.
everything else.
So I think I'd like to make a motion for approval of the project, for project design approval to get final approval at consent when they bring the remaining items, the color board and whatever other things are needed at that point. In general, the project we feel it's a good, strong design. It fits the neighborhood consistency and appearance. The size is, where'd it go? 78% of the maximum, and I think that's important to note that that's why it does fit the neighborhood, and it doesn't feel like a big controversial project. It's a beautiful design. As Denise said, it's inviting, it fits, and they've met the Good Neighbor guidelines, and it meets our compatibility guidelines.
Great, thank you. A second?
A second.
All right. Any discussion? If no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay. And you have a 10-day appeal period, and we'll see you at consent.
Very good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Just keep one copy.
Absolutely. You can keep that whole set right there.
Oh, I think this has a little more to it.
Yeah. You keep this one here.
Okay.
Color photos and whatnot.
And then if you want to keep any of the other plans.
I'll take that away from you, just so you don't have anything else.
Okay, our next project.
No, they're outside.
It's at 4:50, and it's only 4:30.
Take a little break.
I want to do a 5-minute, let's see.
450, that's 30, 40, that's 20 minutes.
Good.
Wow. Okay, I'll take a 15-minute break. All right, I'd like to reconvene the Single Family Design Board. Our current project is at 626 Alston Road. If you'd like to introduce yourselves.
Jose Luis Esparza, architect.
Thank you.
Jack Kiesel, landscape architect.
Thank you. Denise, do we have any minutes?
Yes, we do. The last time we saw this, we continued this project indefinitely to the full board with the following comments. Number one, the board appreciates the direction that the project is going. Number two, the maximum amount of terracing should be at 5 feet. Restudy the amount of fill which the board found excessive. Provide the amount of truck fills that would be required for the proposed grading. Number 3, reduce the amount of proposed paving and hardscape. Number 4, provide more symmetry regarding the proposed architecture and centering. Number 5, restudy the proposed porch pop-out, which is awkward and should have better symmetry. Number 6, provide chimney cap details. Number 7, restudy the landscape plan, which is too formal and should match the style of the house. Restudy landscaping runs below the terracing. Number 8, restudy the hedge plantings in the amount and thickness of the proposed plant screening. Number 9, restudy the proposed fencing material. The chair requested staff to request building and safety staff to attend a subsequent full board meeting to confirm steps taken for adherence to the board's conditions prior to issuance of a building permit. Action was Miller-Woolery, 600. Motion carried.
Thank you. Would you like to go over the minutes?
Yes. Item 1, thank you. We feel that we are moving in a good direction.
Great.
And we're actually happy the way that it's been moving. I mean, this lot was subdivided, to be developed, and I think we're doing a fairly good development on this lot that'll fit into the neighborhood and not obstruct, be below the view corridor with any future landscaping, the mature landscaping. Item 1 was the terracing, and we've reduced the amount of terracing by a great deal. We brought this back. We brought this back. We go to the landscape plan.
Yes, says the maximum amount of terracing should be at 5 feet. Restudy the amount of fill which the board found excessive. Provide the amount of truck fills that would be required for the proposed grading.
So, at the highest point, these are the two retaining walls. This is 5 foot maximum, and then of course this goes to grade. This gently reduces, and it almost goes to grade here and comes back to grade. So here we've only have a 5 foot terrace, and then probably a 12 to 18 inch terrace, as is evident by our sections.
Yeah, show us your site section. That would probably help.
One right on top here of the landscape.
Yeah. Well, see, here's a building section with the site going back through the master all the way down to the terrace.
Okay.
Here's one that just goes through the foyer.
Let's look at your landscape sheet L1.0. I think that would be good to show and that's really good too.
This one goes all the way through the front, all the way to the back. Where this section is cut, we've got about a 42-inch retaining there and a 5 foot retaining.
Okay.
If you look at the landscape section,
here.
Right. So and you're looking at this, and the landscape architect says that's 4'6", and then a 5 foot beyond that. So a lot of this was done by reducing the amount of this terrace and reducing the amount of this terrace was reduced about 30 feet. So we lost a lot of terracing, but I think we gained affordability, and it doesn't. We haven't lost any of the usefulness of the lot, and this becomes natural. A huge portion of the lot is now natural.
Great. Reduce the amount of proposed paving and hardscape. I think you
So we reduced the terracing and the amount of paving. Our grading was reduced to 92 cubic yards, which is 9 and almost a fifth of a truck after that. So I believe we've accomplished that. It was mostly done by reducing the terracing, and also I'm increasing the crawl space because we're going to have the ducting and heating by 24 inches to 42 inches, so that we can have a useful crawl space. So all of that filled, it doesn't need to be down there. So we're using that to offset the amount of upgrading.
I see here on the comment it said reduce the amount of proposed paving. Let's see, what was I saying? Provide the amount of truck fills that would be required for the proposed grading, and you have here to import 92 yards of soil requires 10 truckloads. Truck capacity is 10 yards.
Yeah, so it's 9 plus. You can't just wheelbarrow 2 yards in, so that's why it's 10.
Okay.
Our hardscaping, our landscaping is at 31, which is 64%. Our patios and walks are now at 7.3%. So that's a very low amount.
Okay, it says provide more symmetry regarding the proposed architecture and centering.
Okay. That I accomplished in a couple of ways. The entrance did have symmetry, except for in the windows. So what I've done is I've added a window here, and on the back side, I've solved the roof problem that I had previously. So now we've got our entrance, and then we have our niche, which this one is the walk-in or that closet, and this one is the bathroom. So that there's better symmetry in the front, and then in the back, what I did was I put a hip roof on that porch. So now it doesn't. There's no awkwardness in there, and centered a small window in that tall clear story, and I reduced the amount of patio so that I could get so that my columns are evenly spaced, and our windows are also and French doors are also centered on those archways.
Okay.
Our chimney.
It says restudy the proposed porch pop out, which is awkward and should have better symmetry. So I think you've already talked about that. Chimney cap details?
Chimney cap detail is detail 1 on page 9. So it's the top will be sheet metal with the cutout and then plastered over with the plaster details.
Okay.
And of course, the one fireplace in the master that'll be gas, so that one isn't 2 feet above.
Got it. Yeah.
It's much lower. And then we talked about the symmetry at the front.
I think our next area of study would be the landscaping.
And on the landscaping questions, I will let Jack talk to those.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you want to read those?
Yes. Restudy the landscape plan, which is too formal and should match the style of the house. Restudy landscaping runs below the terracing.
Okay, so what we did is you'll notice on this plan we reduced quite a bit of the terracing below, taking in your comments. The lawn area has been...
Hold on. Do you have the previous landscape plans? I think that'd be kind of nice to compare them. Just to kind of graphically show how we reduced it. Okay, great. So this is quite a change.
Yes.
He's trying to get it on camera, but he's not able. Just scoot that way a little bit.
Yeah, so if you can use this to kind of say what you've done, that'd be great.
Thank you. So as you can see, between the two plans, the number of walls, the amount of walls has been reduced quite a bit. And also this main lawn has been reduced into, like, this is considered like a golden triangle or rectangle, excuse me, triangle. So much fun with my geometry there. And so I think everyone will be pleased with that. Everything is pretty much outside any constraints with the view corridor. We were really sensitive to that issue. None of the trees, anything are in anyone's views. We also, in here, we kind of, I would say, better delineated this area, and here you can see some furniture and whatnot that kind of gives you a better sense for the scale.
Yeah.
We have the outdoor fireplace here with a comfortable amount of seating around that. You have enough room for a dining table, and then the spa is pushed over here. With the steps, you'll notice before we had these like kind of a grand staircase going down. Here in order to pull everything back, we have now it's running parallel with the terrace, and then you come down with some landings and then come into here. This wall right here could either be a green wall or vines, something like that would have interest for the people down here on the lower terrace. Again, the same goes here with this area. Again, reducing the number of steps and the access here. And now, as opposed to what we had before, we've reduced the number of water features. We just have the spa there, or plunge pool, spa plunge pool. And then here, just the front entry fountain remains. So again, we're really, referencing that kind of Andalusian feel and our styling with the landscape. I think we've retained those elements. There was one issue about the hedge along the way that you wanted to look at doing a new material. What we did is we introduced a different type of hedge material, which would be Rhamnus alternus, which is Italian buckthorn, and we're suggesting doing that on 3 feet on center, and here's a little graphic showing that. We're still showing the chain link because we don't want to, at this point, go into the expense to have a formalized masonry wall with stucco finish. And then we also believe that this kind of on-center spacing will give you, and using large enough size, that should be pretty well covered up, so you're never really going to see the chain link fence. You get that Carex lawn. That's going to be Carex, drought-tolerant native landscape. And I think that pretty much covers most of it.
So I said, see here on the notes, restate the proposed fencing material. So you've addressed that, or what your comment you just made.
Yeah, was basically we're just really covering that up with plant material.
No, sir. Are you?
On that one, yes.
Well, could you come forward, please, and introduce yourself?
Yeah. Because I'm not sure that Jack was aware of it. I only became aware of Roy Greenwald.
Are you the owner? Or?
I'm the agent for the owners.
Okay, thank you.
But I apologize. I only became knowledgeable of it. My understanding is that on that east part of it, the neighbors have already erected the fence. It's their fence, and it's on their side of the property line. Okay. Therefore, it's delineated already.
You're talking about this chain link.
I'm sorry.
You're talking about a chain link fence.
Thank you for clarifying.
I don't know if it's a chain link or I'm going to go over there tonight. But I know it's some kind of a chain link or some kind of a fence.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
And of course, the other thing is there was comments from before about the wall heights. I think Jose already addressed that.
Yeah.
And nothing higher than 5 feet.
So right now you don't see that or that.
Put it up on the camera.
Right.
What are yours?
There's the fence.
There's a fence there now.
Okay. All right, thank you. Is that the conclusion of your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. We'll bring it back to the board. Bring it in for public comment. We've got several speaker slips. We've got some letters. We'll go to the speaker slips first. And if we can get a chair ready, I have Bobby Shand. Would you like to come forward and speak?
Hi, thank you.
You're talking in respect to this letter, right? Is that correct?
I am actually speaking on, no, I've got some other comments.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm Bobby Sham. We live directly above, so the subject property. First of all, thank you for all the work that you guys have done and and kind of listening to everybody's needs and requests. First, I'd request height verification throughout the process that would respect our view corridor. At the last meeting, there was a discussion about that the board coordinate with the city to ensure that the designated height of the building be checked at different points. I know that the board's overview has a certain limitation, but there was a conversation about maybe working with the city to have better coordination. Secondly, that clarity regarding the landscaping in the view corridor. There was, I believe there's some language in the plans that says to a natural area and future planting. The future planting is the concern. I don't know what that means. The third point is just clarity regarding the grading walls and retaining walls. We would request that a civil engineering drawings be done that would take responsibility for both the amount of grading and the walls. And then lastly, on the going down the driveway, on our side, we had talked about a wall, but it doesn't need to be. We hadn't requested a plaster wall. On the opposite side of our property, there's just a wood wall, which just gives a divider for dust, visual. We just paint it green on one side. We understand the cost, and we're very sensitive to that. So that would be a request instead of the chain link. And that's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Susan Shan? Okay. Very good. Barbara Ireland?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I just have a few points here. We live at 610 Alston Road, which is the lot right next to the proposed project. And after looking at the plans, we just feel that it's a little out of character for the neighborhood. It's a bit much with the amount of retaining walls, the fountains, etc. And the area is a habitat for many birds and wildlife that will be disrupted once the building gets started. And we're just concerned about the massive amounts of dirt that will be brought in for this project, disrupting the landscape that has an earthquake fault running through it. And we just wonder if the hillside will hold up to the demands of the construction. And another concern is during this time of extreme drought, the usage of all the water for the grounds will take for the lavish landscaping.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
John Ireland? Hello.
John Ireland at 610 Alston.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted a little point for clarification.
Mm-hmm.
The first time we were here and didn't win approval, within a few days there was earth moving equipment on the lot next door. And I didn't think they were allowed to do that until they got approval to go ahead with their plans. So if you turn them down again, is that going to happen again?
Well, that's a question I can't answer. So
It's just something I was thinking about, and I just wanted a clarification.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Follow through on that. Thank you. Bert McCormack.
Thank you for the time. I'm on the property owner here, down to here. And I don't know what to be a plan here, but I'd really like to see it some kind of a living fence, not a brick wall or we have hedges all around. And I'd like to see a hedge or something, because there's a lot of these trees are already there, and I hate to see them go.
Sure.
My other objection is, being we're going into a fire season, I'd like to see that whoever the contractor is, when they cut shrubbery down, grass down, they don't go down here and just throw it all down here. And it's a big fire hazard. We got 2 big bunches of dead trees, limbs, and everything else down there now, and it's really close to my property. And this is very virgin, it's really pristine, and they should keep it that way. And if they do any cutting, they should take it off the premises. Okay. And that's the only objections I have. I think you've done a nice job here, and if this stays green, I have no objection. And they should. I called the fire department 2 weeks ago, and they haven't done anything. And they've only trimmed part of this lot. This has not been cut at all. And so it is a fire hazard as of right now.
Okay. Got it. Thank you very much. Okay, that's all I have for public comment. We got a couple emails. We got an email from Bobby Shand, and he spoke, and he said, given the amount of regarding the grading and landscape, he also said requiring civil engineering drawings be done. Make sure there are no specifics as to what will happen landscape within our view corridor. We need your help ensuring that we do have specifics on that regarding that. Coordinate with the city to ensure that the designated height of the building and any future landscaping which falls within our view corridor is followed. As to the directions and the verifications. Okay, that was that letter. And we got another email. I saw it. Here it is. And this, too, I guess, was a follow-up. Clarity regarding the retaining walls, clarity regarding landscaping view corridors, height verifications throughout the process protecting the view corridors. So those are the letters, emails we received. And would you like to make comment on public comments?
Sure. Well, our landscaping sections show where the view corridor is and how we're staying well outside of it.
Okay.
Here's this section that cuts through that lower terrace. So everything is much lower.
This is fine.
Yeah.
And you see the view corridor. He's drawn right there. Okay.
Our upper terrace, our main terrace, is going to be just touching that view corridor. So not that we have anything that would grow into that, but now we have most of the development outside of that view corridor. We've already gone over the building, and we're approximately 8 inches below the view corridor. That's probably our highest point. And all the landscaping is going to be well below, as you can see it on this. This tree, I believe, is this one. So I think.
Excuse me, could you quiet? Thank you.
So I think we've addressed all of their concerns. I mean, we've reduced the amount of retaining, the amount of grading that's going to be coming on the site. So it, and we're not against meeting with the city to, there's always a survey to ensure that our finished floors are at the adequate height when we do the foundations. I mean, that could be something that we do with the city. But I think that we responded to all of their concerns.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to bring it back to the board now. Does the city have any comments or anything?
We're still working on some sort of process of how we can have inspectors check on the projects throughout the project rather than just a final approval. So as soon as we can maybe have someone from Building and Safety coordinate with Jaime, we can have them come say something at one of the meetings. Or
Yeah, there was a comment that there were trucks out there right now.
If there's trucks or anything like that, that would have to be filed on through a complaint basis rather than something that this board would address. That's not within this board.
Yeah, that's not you, our program.
So I just wanted to put that out there in the audience that the issue brought up about what's going on in the property right now is not our purview, but there's a process in which you can file a complaint, work directly with the city on that if you have any concerns about traffic or whatever, what's going on in the property right now. Okay, thank you. Bring it back to the board for questions.
One. So this green wall that would be near the spa, what was the height of that wall?
That wall right there, you can see on the elevations, right?
Right. Is it this one?
Yeah, right there. So we're, what's the exact height on it?
Someone not on?
I am.
8 feet on it, is that?
If you could speak into that mic.
Oh,
they
okay.
can't hear you. Is it 8 feet, that
Yeah,
particular
it's
wall?
around that. Okay. So.
Yeah, because you've got all those stairs
Yeah.
coming down, so I knew that had to be higher than 5.
Yeah.
Because you have to make that grade up somewhere. I mean, but the lower terraces are at 5 or less.
Correct.
Right. Okay. And there was a comment by one of the people that spoke that there was something about future plantings. I don't see that here on this plan, so I'm not sure if that was the old plan. But there was a concern that there's some languaging that says there will be future plantings in the view corridor, and I don't see that here. So is there any way you can address that and explain what exactly is going to go on down there? I mean, it says preserve, restore native planting. It's just, what is it now? Is it, what's there now, I guess?
I think it's a mix of non-native and native materials that you typically see in that area. What the proposal is to kind of do a native enhancement with stuff that will stay well below the view corridors. So we're looking at, we would be like 40 to 50 feet below that 285 elevation with any plants that would go in there. And again, the objective is to kind of enhance that for wildlife and whatever value, so that part of the property is going to be dedicated to that.
Yeah.
And then the stuff below there was regarding plant materials. At the last meeting, there was a concern for the Aesculus, California. Now we're suggesting, like right here, for example, that those would be the Western redbud, like multi-trunk. So, and again, so all the plantings, anything of height is well tucked in away from the view corridors and more towards the house. Okay. And we did want to have some kind of tree here for shade and then kind of acting as kind of a pivot and anchor for the geometry here. So that's there. We do have a few palms flanking both sides of the tub plunge pool.
Yeah, that's well out of the view corridor.
Right, yeah. So basically, we've done our due diligence here to make sure that all the plantings are well below and not obstructing anyone's views.
And then I just wanted to clarify, because there was still some concern about the chain link and all that, and some desire to have it be something other than that. But on this plan, they are showing a hedge material going on both sides of the driveway. So that's going to be completely obscured, and that particular plant I know well. It gets quite tall. It's shearable. You can cut it. And it's a very good screen. It's very small leaved, and it gets real tight, and if it's kept down, then it doesn't get leggy. That's the only thing that happens with Alternus. I know. That's happened to me before with it. If you don't prune it down, it'll get leggy. But you also have some underplantings, I see, so that won't really be an issue because you have shrubs down below. I don't know what you'd intend those to be. Along with the trees, have you any more thought to the trees along the driveway, or?
Well, we were thinking maybe these trees here could be olives, and then potentially maybe dwarf citrus in between. Kind of again.
Yeah, that's a great buffer. That would make a really thick, nice buffer, like a double buffer actually. So I think that would take care of the public concerns on either side of the driveway. As for the gentleman who spoke about that lives down below, looks like there's already a lot of existing trees along there. And is it your intention to leave those there?
Yes.
Okay, so you're not going to take any of that down along that property line, correct?
Right.
Am I right?
Yeah, we want to whatever is a native or screening material of value will remain, especially when it is related to screening.
Yeah, and I was going to say,
And
could you add some of the Rhamnus down there along that part of the property
yes.
line?
And, or like
that
down
would give
there,
him a
we could
better
probably do natives,
buffer.
like the native cherries, which are
Come back.
or the toyons down below that area as part of the
Right.
native mix, which are also quick growing shrubs.
Of
And
course,
we
the
do-
fire department has to clear that.
Right. Yeah. Whatever we could do. That is always
That's the
challenge
catch, yeah.
with these areas that are considered
Can't-
high fire is
yeah.
trying to do screening and,
Yeah.
and keep everybody happy, but then also maintain certain fire clearances.
Yeah,
So
well, for the public
it's-
to understand that, because we're always faced with this as landscape architects and designers, that you cannot plant a hedgerow under trees, under native oaks, because that's called a fire ladder. So you're really restricted, by the fire department, and rightfully so, because nobody wants a fire. We've had enough of those. So that may not be possible along that property line where there are already some native trees to do much more screening with plants, at any rate. So.
Nice the way it is.
Oh, the way it is. Well, I don't think they're changing that, so then you're in luck.
Yeah.
All right, good.
If I may make a comment about it, I was just talking to Mr. McCullough. I'm not sure that what he's talking about is within the property line. I'm going to go look at it tonight.
Okay.
But I don't think it is. And the cuttings that he's talking about, I don't know what they are, but I will,
Yeah.
take care of it immediately if it's within, as you said, our purview.
Okay.
The other thing you were talking about was brought up by Mr. Island, and he was talking about trucks, and which we know nothing about. The only trucks that were on the property moving dirt was when they put in the sewer line, goes directly east to west within the property itself. And within 2 weeks of that, they redid the whole sewer line, or they put a sewer line in a sewer line and rebuilt it. And then right after that, I think it was a telephone company, came in and changed the poles and put in new lines. That was the only trucks and.
Okay, so you're not doing any work on the property
No,
at this
other
point?
than fire. They keeping the brush. They were keeping the brush down.
Keeping the brush
Yeah.
Okay. Right,
Are
thank
these just randomly put there by you, or are they existing trees down here?
These right here, that right there is denoting definitely the existing tree. These are kind of some suggestions to enhance screening
Down
where
here.
we can, right?
Down here.
Correct.
So with those
These are
people-
just not trees there. They're just suggestions.
Correct. Yeah.
So there's basically, we don't really know what's down there other than a picture of.
Yeah, where
It's
that
not on
would be the
paper.
next level, where we're working with what is existing there and what we can do to enhance the native vegetation, and then screening where we can. Also, balancing that out with fire.
And to address the comment by Mrs. Ireland too, is that this is going to be like a nature preserve down there now. So I think you're going to be happier with this plan, because if it stays native, that the birds will definitely come because they love that. So hopefully there'll be some toyon and some yummy things for the birds that you can add to that are low enough.
May I ask a question? And was there? And I probably should know this. Is in the deed. In the deed, there was this view corridor that was required to be kept. Correct.
Correct, with an elevation of 280.
certain.
Yes.
But there was no mention of what. I mean, correct me. This is private property.
Yes.
As long as they stay down there, they can basically do what they want.
Well, and what the board will will approve as well.
I mean, we could put a baseball field down there. I'm being.
Well, I don't think the neighbors or staff would let us do that.
You're gonna have to come for.
Or we could put a few more terraces down there.
Don't open that can of worms.
Okay. Bernie, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you. Back to the entry, the gate. There's a gate and it's set back down the driveway, right?
Where's that one?
Yeah, it's the very front.
And so I was just wondering what that looks like. And then I also heard that there's a proposed fountain, and I don't think you're allowed to do fountains now because of the drought.
Is that?
There has been no moratorium on fountains or pools.
Still not, okay. So, and this would probably be a recirculating fountain anyway, that just you fill up with a hose or something.
We had provided an elevation of the gate
Yeah, I'd
when
like
we
to
first
see
started.
that. Yeah, it's been so many times.
And there was
Going down, a little ways down the driveway. How far
Uh-huh.
down? About,
I would have to bring that to the next meeting. I don't believe I
Okay.
brought a copy of that.
What material is it made out of?
It's an iron, wrought iron gate with columns.
Stone columns,
Um,
probably plaster. You don't know.
I think we had stone caps, but they were plaster.
Okay. All right. I have no questions at this moment, so I'll go to comments. Anyone have comments?
Yeah, well, this is a great improvement over what the last plan was, I think. I think you've really done a good job to reconfigure and to really take into heart, what everyone's been saying to you, and I really do appreciate that. This is a much more workable plan than the one before. It's much more modest. It's not as grandiose, and the grading is going to be a much better scenario, I think. I think you're going in the right direction at this juncture. I like the fact that you've kept those terrace walls to 5 feet and under. I think that's really important. And I think it's getting more and more supportable at this point.
I think it is supportive.
Yeah.
Frankly, I don't think we should keep saying we're going in the right direction. I think you've obtained the right direction. If we keep insisting on it, we're going to keep coming. You're going to keep coming back, and we don't want to see you again.
Right. One more time.
And they don't want to see us again either.
So, I think I agree with the project. I like the project as it is, and if you want to improve it, that's your prerogative. But I think we've reached a point where we don't have to keep cutting it.
Joe, let me give you a little coaching here. It's more in line with the size, bulk, and scale. So you're saying you're saying is that you think it's appropriate for the size and for the property. You're comfortable with the size, bulk, and scale in the continuity of the neighborhood.
Yes.
Got it. All right, Bernie.
Yeah, let me think about that for a second.
Okay.
I mean, I know they've been here several times, and their FAR now is 89% of the maximum. So it's still a little bit bigger than we like to see. It is a guideline because it's on a large property. It's on 1.1 acres. So the house is, how many square feet? 3987 plus 487. So that's our decision now. Did they come far enough with the new landscape plan, with the new design? I think they've been here at least 3 times that I've been here. And there's been a lot of neighborhood 6 times?
7 times.
Oh my, I know, because I remember going out to this site years ago a long time ago.
Different owners.
Okay, anyway, but yeah, I think it's supportable. I think it's great that all the neighbors have been able to have conversations, and basically the compromises seem to have been met, and I think the guidelines have been met.
Great. I'll pipe in. I think you've come a long way. I think architecturally, design-wise, this is room for development, but especially this. But otherwise, I mean, I'm not going to stop your project. I do believe you have come a long way. I can support this project. I think the fact that it's not a 2-story house, you're not really aggressively bulking up the house, which tends to happen in properties like this. So I can support this project too. I think you've done everything we've asked. I think your grading and everything is appropriate to the architecture. I think it's going to be a beautiful home with the landscaping. I think it'll probably be a great asset to that area. So those are my feedback. So would someone like to make a motion? Now, let's see. They're here for
Project design approval.
Design approval. So,
okay. I move to give this project design approval. Do we have some conditions here? Actually, they've met most of the conditions to this
Yeah.
So it's basically project design approval as submitted. We'd like to give this the approval with the following neighborhood preservation findings: that the project has a consistency of appearance and is consistent with the scenic character of the city, and will enhance the appearance of the neighborhood. It is compatible with the neighborhood and its size, bulk, and scale. It is reflecting quality architecture and materials, and that at this point I would say good neighbor guidelines have been met, seeing as you have altered the project enormously since the first application.
All right, thank you. So do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Ayes have it.
We finally have project.
Congratulations.
When else the appeal period?
I was about to say that.
Okay.
There is a 10-day appeal period.
We're not going to appeal.
Okay, good.
Thank you for the input.
Thank you.
Here's your. Guys, let me know about your gal if she's available to.
What's all this?
Does she live in Ventura?
Just a bunch of pictures that we didn't have to go through.
With two people, you don't.
If you want to take two of the sets, you want to welcome to, otherwise I'll recycle them.
I know. What's the deal? Oh, continue. Oh, yeah, fine.
Okay, please. Our next item up is 2327 Edgewater Way.
Oh, wait, actually, should it be consent? I didn't say if I continued it to consent or to the full board for final.
Oh,
We didn't give them final approval.
No, I know. I said, but to give them final, are they going to get it on consent or back to the full
They
board?
need to come back to the full board.
Back to the full board for final.
Yeah.
Do they know that? Okay, we need to reopen that one and state that.
okay. Okay. Please, could you step outside?
Can
Thank
we
you.
get some quiet? We're still in
Please
session.
step outside. Hello.
We're still in session. Please take your conversation outside.
Please go outside, unless you're with this project, with Edgewater Way.
Mamma mia.
And I just wanted to restate our motion for 626 Alston Road, that it's going to be returning to the full board
For final.
for final.
Look at all those little pins.
Okay, we're here for 2327 Edgewater Way.
That's us.
All right.
Mamma mia.
So, there's a lot of talk going on here.
Oh, is that this project? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was the last one. Yeah, I better take it because it's kind of hard to get in here.
You put them underneath.
I have to, oh, I'm sorry. Got to do this because we have to get a plan up there.
Yeah, turn it around.
This is a new project, so you have to read it. For me.
Okay, so would you please introduce yourselves?
Hi, I'm Jacob Nixdale.
Hold on. Can we please?
Mr.
No,
Okay, this is a
no
new one.
minutes.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair, I'm going to recuse myself because I
Okay,
live
thank
near
you.
the project. There are some letters, though.
Oh, that's right. We don't have a quorum. So we can't continue yet.
So we're stuck. So we're waiting for a fourth board member to have a quorum, so we're kind of stuck at the moment. So we're going to take a break with an unspecified amount of time until Lisa arrives. However, I think we should not make it more than 15 minutes. If she does not arrive in 15 minutes, I'm afraid we may have to
bump you
to the next.
Well, hopefully she'll show.
So, has anyone called her?
I have messaged her twice. She asked me to.
Okay, so
She's probably on her way.
there we are.
She doesn't live far from here.
So we're taking a 15-minute break. There's coffee, there's goodies.
5 to 10.
Okay, I'm going to reconvene the Single Family Design Board. It is now 6:40. 5:40. Poof. 5:40. Would you introduce yourselves again, please?
Hi, I'm Jacob Nixto,
Thank you.
architect.
Justin Manuel from Arcadia Studio.
Thank you.
Instant Architect.
Thank you. Let me see if I can find the minutes. This is a new item. Proposal to demolish an existing detached 448 square foot two-car garage and 170 square foot one-car carport, and construction of a 1,490 square foot first-story addition and 871 square foot second-story addition, new attached 750 square foot three-car garage, and new driveway with motor court. Also proposed is to limit an as-built deck to this existing 1,602 square foot single-family dwelling. The proposed total of 4,663 square feet on a 22,189 square foot lot is 99% of the guideline maximum floor to lot ratio, FAR. The project requires Planning Commission approval for a coastal development permit. Comments only. Project requires Planning Commission review and environmental assessment. So you're here for comments only. Is there anything that the city needs to? Okay. All right, could you share your project with us?
Sure. So I think the first place to start is there's a couple different lot configurations going on here that play into it in various different ways. So I'll kind of start here.
Yeah.
The main property is this here. It's parcel 7. It's also associated with this 3-foot parcel that runs part of the way there up to there as well. So those two are kind of legally pseudo-joined. As part of this process, we're doing an official voluntary lot merger to clean up the lot line between those two. So the owners, Carol and Brad Hack, also own this adjacent property here, which is associated with this 10-foot wide property here. They do not own, there is a neighboring single-story house here, kind of in between this U-shape, just so that's all the configuration.
Strange.
So,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay. So on this, kind of starting on the main parcel, there is an existing, the existing house is located here in this area, single story. However, we've been working with Adam Simmons, the project geologist, and he's indicated that our 75-year setback line is this line here, which is actually about 88 feet back from the bluff. So any new development would need to take place kind of behind this line, which is part of the reason that this is staying essentially as is, and that most of the development happens back here along this linear portion of the lot. One thing to kind of point out is I know there's been some discussion on the size, and we did kind of an informal survey of this area, kind of between Mesa and Mohawk, south of Edgewater. All the dark ones, including ours proposed, are currently 2-story. Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Thank you. There, one front camera.
Yeah, all the dark dots here are 2 stories, and we're kind of there are 1 stories along here, but in this kind of narrow lot configuration, and we've worked very hard to keep our second story at under 900 square feet, so it's not just a first story brought up with the second story. So the driveway access kind of plays into this kind of configuration where currently there's a 9-foot easement that goes directly by this neighbor's wall. It's essentially wall, road, easement. We had at one point a configuration where we slid the driveway over as a kind of to give them some more privacy. Carol and Brad obviously don't want to be driving past their windows as much as they want anyone driving past their windows. So, but it seems that so that configuration, in discussing with the neighbors, they've had conversations with Dominic, who lives here. He preferred that he said he may be selling his house or doing something with his house, so he preferred that we keep the driveway here and we simply extend it onto this portion here. We're not able to extend this further due to the stormwater requirements. This being a separate lot of this, we can have 500 square feet of permeable surface before we trigger the Tier 3 analysis that would require this lot to be treated independently of this lot, meaning this lot, just for a driveway, would need either a pump or its own special easement to go over the bluff, et cetera. So it's a little bit of a quagmire there in terms of how this easement and driveway happens. But we're working for, towards the best solution we can. So in any case, in general, the driveway comes down here. There's a motor court where you can turn in and kind of back out. Right now, this 10-foot strip of land has not been used, and access to the existing garage, which is right here, is essentially impossible in this 50 feet to get a car in and back out without doing a 12-point turn in terms of getting in and out.
And that's existing?
There is an existing garage right here, this dashed line here, so that it comes in, but that area there makes it extremely difficult to. So by gaining this extra 10 feet and by pushing this garage as close as we can that way, by officially grabbing this extra 3 feet and merging those lots, we're able to get enough where the transportation department will reasonably allow us to get in and out in an easy manner. So that kind of sets that. In terms of the overall massing, because the existing house is here and the driveway is here, that kind of pushes our general massing off to this east side of the property and allows us a chance to get down after the motor court, to walk down to an entry area that kind of separates the public spaces, the living spaces are up here, from the bedroom spaces down here. Let's see, I will point out that as this here, the number 99%, the board, I believe, is familiar with a project right next door, 2321 Edgewater, that was recently done, that was approved at 95%. So because of all our lot kind of configurations, our legal FAR is at, or the one we've shown here is at 99% currently. But given that if we were to, as a hypothetical exercise, consider all these extra lot spaces kind of here that are, this lot being unbuildable but owned by the same owner, same thing here, this lot being, 10 feet wide, not essentially buildable, that would put us at the same 95%. So I just mentioned that only because we were thinking in the spirit of kind of starting with what had been approved here and working backwards from there. So I know it says 99%. That is our thought based on if this square footage lots and this lot were added together. The subject would be 95%.
So let me get this clarified. It's 99% now. If you add this lot, then it becomes 95?
Yeah, it only goes down that much. The way the FARs are set up, by going from 22,000 to 42,000, you don't get a significant additional amount of square footage.
All right. All right. Yeah. And this is a larger version of this, right?
This is an enlarged version, just showing kind of a little bit easier to see what's happening with the roofs. This is the full site being as long as it is.
All right.
So that other lot, it's beyond that setback. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so the other thing I think that's worth pointing out is that on this lot here, there is a 34-foot wide easement on behalf of this lot. So there will never be essentially anything built right up within 34 feet. This lot being unbuildable with the 75-year setback here, this lot having an easement to get here. So that being said, that's one of the reasons that kind of works well for us to orient the view, the views of this direction, looking there. So.
There's a trick to this.
Yeah.
Maybe that wasn't
it. This is the existing house. Pretty simple. The original kind of beach cottage was this, we believe, was just this room. just one kind of square room with a gable that goes like this. I believe the next addition was this here that added kind of what were 2 bedrooms. And then there was a later addition that added on another 2, we'll call that a bedroom. Bedrooms here, so this was a 4-bedroom house. This roof shedding down ever so slightly to about a 6-foot head. We've talked with the planning department and even our initial conversations with our planner, even though we're past, this area here would be past the 75-year setback line, we're maintaining the spirit of staying in the footprint of the house and changing the roof line so that water just doesn't dump into our new addition by adding a slight gable here, whereas it used to be a pitch that way. So let's see if I can remove this. So as we said before, you can kind of walk down the entry walk. There's a front porch that kind of, let's see, we have the model. Well, the idea is as you kind of walk from the motor court down, there's a front porch that grabs your attention and indicates this is where it is. The whole site slopes down about 7 or 8 feet from one end to the other. So we've tried very hard to come in at the lower level, the existing level that this is here. You could step up a few feet here to keep this on grade as much as possible. Go up another little bit to this kind of smaller front room, and then continue around to the master bedroom over here. But in general, you kind of walk in the entry, and the entry is the division between the public area where the living, dining, and kitchen would be. You come up a few steps, and there's 2 bedrooms on the first floor.
Where's the scale? Do you have the architects? I just want to check something real quick. Keep going.
And then you continue around, you would continue up the stairs. There's a little, trying to keep this as low as possible with the grade as it goes down, and then you continue up another couple steps to the master bedroom. Again, trying to orient views in this kind of direction as much as possible. Anything else to add? This just simply shows kind of the garage that's at the end. A roof plan here. Sorry. Again, so this is kind of the existing west elevation, and this would be the proposed west elevation. We're proposing new horizontal siding that kind of ties this down, makes it feel low. We're going for just a kind of a beach cottage, a nicely well-done beach cottage. Asphalt roofs, new wood or clad windows. Again, similar, this would be the east elevation. And we've kind of tried to make it work as harmoniously as possible, where the building kind of grows out and has a small second-story area in the middle and then continues back down as much as possible, so that it's not just a double mass of square footage up on the second floor. Next page, I think it's worth pointing out on the sections. Kind of section A starts at the very northernmost part at the garage. So again, as it goes down, we've got an 8'2" plate here, and then as we can use this. Start down here. We've got kind of an 8'2" plate here, and we've used the roof line kind of continuing down as it steps down, so that even when you get to the bedroom, we have an 8-foot plate, an 8-foot visual plate. So we're trying to keep the bulk mass and scale in line with the cottage feel. This master closet area, we've taken advantage of, a closet being here, linens being here on this side, to have a second floor 7'4" plate. Just the half is how it ends up planing out, since they all plane. and in the master bedroom itself, an 8-foot plate there. So less than 10 foot floor to floor. I think it's 910 floor to floor, and an 8-foot plate. Again, looking at the recently approved project next door, I believe was a 10-foot 3 first floor to second floor, and an 8.6 plate. So we've really tried our best to keep the plate heights down so that at least the edge is not an apparent tall massing. Similarly, kind of a section through the entry, and then a little section through this kind of front bedroom here. Again, you can see we have a 7-11 plate on the second floor there, trying to keep that gradually sloping down. I think next is, so this was our previous landscape plans. Before, as I had mentioned, we had kind of pulled it away, and the neighbor here had decided that they preferred we not mess with anything there, so we've kind of tweaked our proposal.
Yeah. Put all the planting to the opposite side of this house to stay within the easement. Kept the driveway where it is, and then it'll be hedges right along the easement line with succulents in the foreground of that, and then palms lining the driveway. As you get towards the end of the driveway, keeping the existing citrus orchard, and the motor court that he mentioned goes into the arbor with screening around that. So as you get to the entry garden, it's screened. As you go through the brick walk, you get to the entry. You can either enter the house, or you're met with more screening. As you get to the back garden area, you can go through the gate, a little bit more informal, and then the back garden will lead into the house or lead into the existing landscape.
One of the problems they've had currently is there's actually a door here in this bedroom that everyone seems to think is the front door that leads into a bedroom. So the front door is currently just a little side door into the kitchen. It leads straight into a kitchen. So there's a door into a kitchen, there's a door into a bedroom. There's not really a great sense of entry. So this has been designed to kind of show you where to enter the house and then provide some privacy into this backyard as you go past. I also think it's worth pointing out there are some existing kind of hedges and screening on this neighbor's property, and we would also be proposing a hedge there as well for privacy. It sounds like this neighbor is very amenable to keeping it, but we all know that at some point it's required to come down. So, yeah.
Okay.
There is also a stormwater plan on here. I don't know if briefly, because we are required to treat this one here. The brief overview is that all the water on this side of the house is collected and drained northward into a filtration basin here, and then it would overflow. All the water on this side is captured in a filtration basin here. The water from this existing portion, where we're not allowed to change the roof line and we're not able to get the roof line to kind of step down, would come into a little raised planter here. And all of those, after being filtered through the city's stormwater requirements, would be drained over the bluff as the geologist Adam Simmons has requested. So through a pipe and deposited at the base of the bluff, so it's not eroding the face.
Okay.
I think that's it.
All right. Thank you. All right. Closing it for the applicant. I'll bring it back to public comments. Let's see. Did we have any speaker slips?
We don't have any speaker slips, but we received a public comment through email.
Okay. Yeah, I got a letter from Bernie saying, "Dear fellow board members, since I live right up the street from the project, I will recuse myself," which he did. However, as a close neighbor, I am opposed to this project. The house's magnitude does not meet our guidelines at 99% of the maximum FAR. On a bluff top of 4,663 square feet home is absolutely not compatible with homes in this neighborhood, and one of the reasons one of the reasons why SFDB exists. Thank you for your hard work. Got another one from, let's see, Coed. That's right, Coed. Janet Coed, yeah. Thank you for considering designs in the community's best interest. As a neighbor at Cooper Road, on Cooper Road, I ask you to compare total square footage of this project and assure that it conforms to sizes of neighboring houses. It seems like this project is a very significant increase of square footage to the existing structure and should be reduced in size. That's from Janet Cohen. I saw another one. Let's see. Thank you. I am an owner live on 114 Cooper Road. I'm about 200 feet from the construction to be approved. My concern is how much natural rainwater will be immediately directed to the ocean. This water has no salt and no chlorine. We have to burn fossil fuels to try to remove salt from salt water, or worse, sewage water. Salt kills plants. Chlorine kills the good bacteria that plants need for growing. Why aren't environmentalists involved with new construction that covers good topsoil, preventing growth of green plants? Beneath the as-built deck can rain soak in the ground. We know that all rooftops and driveways will waste natural rain. Will the motor court do the same? A 99% figure is deplorable. I think those are it, right?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, that's it for public comment. I'm going to close public comment, and I'm going to bring it back to the board for questions. Who has any questions? Yes, Lisa.
Question about the 3-car garage. Wondering about the necessity of that, and I see that, or just the thinking behind it, and wondering about this existing orchard. It says rehabilitate orchard. Are these fruit trees in good shape, the ones that are left? And anyway, that's my question. Kind of roundabout, long.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. Do you have any pictures?
I don't know that we have any. This area, the rehabilitate speaks to the need to include this area as a stormwater retention area. So the thought was that this would be a great place for the trees that remain. There are a few that would be removed due to the proximity of this, but the ones that remain would benefit from this stormwater retention being in this particular area as well. It's my knowledge, and maybe Carol, the trees near the north property line are in fairly good shape.
The orange one you'll take out, that one's not in good shape. The rest are.
Could you please come forward and introduce yourself if you.
I'm Carol Hack. I'm Carol Hack. I'm the owner.
Owner? Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, you need address 2337 and 2327. Okay. So it's 2 addresses.
Got it.
Yeah, they're in good shape. One orange plant will go when the garage goes.
Okay, you need to speak into a speaker.
Oh, sorry.
See, we're being televised, so you get recorded for.
Yeah, one orange plant is in bad shape, but that would be going because it's where the garage would be. And then there's another pineapple guava that's in good shape, but that's probably not go. The rest are in good shape.
Thanks.
Oh, Joe. Go ahead.
You're allowed the driveway here, but you're not allowed. Am I saying that right? You're not because of the figures and what's happening. But you did include this for a turnaround here, and that does allow the.
So we're allowed at this point. From this point forward, it would be permeable pavers, which would be which do not count in the city's stormwater retention as new impervious surfaces. So we would allow the water to filter through here. This is an existing asphalt driveway. So rather than kind of trying to do a candy stripe driveway, it seems we could make a 19-foot wide driveway, but that doesn't seem. We also need stormwater retention along this portion for this little thing here.
Okay. I was out there today, and Carol, yeah. I don't believe that you really want to do what you're doing back here and then put that
Oh, Joe.
Put that driveway down. I mean, it's, probably don't have a picture of it, but you stop right there, you listen to people snore in their bedrooms, 2 bedrooms right there. And
it's, I mean, we'd have to have asphalt here and
can't you,
permeable.
I mean, without this person's, I mean, it is an easement from here to there, isn't it? Is it not?
It's an easement
That
from
far.
here to here.
But if
and
you,
then
if you
Carolyn,
move the driveway over and put landscaping down there, would that be all right?
which is what we had proposed to do, and in trying to be neighborly with the neighbor, they decided that they would rather us keep this existing driveway as is and not have landscaping.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to do since he's planning to sell the house, he changed his mind when he decided to sell the house, and he said he didn't want to make the decision in case the person buying the house had a different idea.
I can't imagine.
This is what we had come up with before, exactly like you said, having I think it's 4.5 feet that would be a buffer and a landscape buffer on our side, and push this driveway as far forward as possible. We would be very
do that. You can do that, and it'll still qualify for.
Yes, in this case, we could do this as permeable pavers and use this as our retention, this middle strip as the retention basin.
So it's possible if the people are amenable to
exactly.
it. And they're not amenable to it.
Well, but it's their property, and the truth of the matter is, it's sort of a board-driven decision too. Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, just because the neighbor wants it that way doesn't mean that it has to be that way, right? I mean, if we decide that we like the first configuration of the driveway better, then that's the direction they go.
Somebody correct me. We could make that decision. We don't have to.
We could.
I'm sorry
So
to be
it is
so blunt, but we don't have to wait for the owner to decide what the other half of the easement owner wants to do with their driveway.
That was my point.
Simply put, we did not want to be the ones that forced this upon
but we could.
this neighbor.
But we have the purview.
Carol and Brad are trying to be
Thanks,
very
Denise, for bringing that up.
respectful and
Yeah, great. All right.
It's a design decision.
This other lot, I answered that. The other lot's not buildable, and you can't put anything on it yet. Ever will be.
There used to be a house.
The house was in the very, very, very edge.
Patio for something.
Yeah, no, the house used to be
Up here. Yeah. So
well over the cliff.
Yeah.
Are all the ceilings in the house, the second story, are they all volume?
The master bedroom, yes. The front
bedroom.
The front bedroom, yes.
All volume ceiling.
Yes.
Master bath too.
Yes. Sections here.
This section. There we go.
So if we start at the back, kind of master closet would be shorter on this side, but then where you actually stand would be taller. Vestibule, just so it's not like a half triangle in every room, but
They all are,
yeah. And bathrooms, a little space there.
This 3-foot easement on the east side. Explain to me, is there a reason why it stops and it doesn't go?
Is that weird thing?
That's just where it is.
Where the property line stops, right there.
Fighting plans here.
That's just the way the property is.
Tom's trying to.
Right there.
Here, Tom.
I got it right here, Tom. Okay. So you're trying to figure that out and trying to include it into that property? Is that what you're
Yes, the concurrent with this process is a voluntary lot merger to merge this 3-foot with this 50-foot.
I own that.
You own
I own it.
Do you know the history as to why that occurred? You have no
I
idea.
have not into any of the history of this.
Very strange. Okay.
So we got this, and this.
Correct. And this 3-foot makes a world of difference for backing out this car. It's just, in terms of, if this 3-foot piece of property was not we'd have to push it back. It would have to be a 6-foot setback from the original property line, which is 3 feet over from where it's at.
And you're doing that with the house down here too.
Correct. In an attempt to give a little bit of a yard, a front yard, and not just have it feel like you're walking down the side of a house.
And you quoted a figure of what, a little over 900 square feet for the second floor?
I think net is a little under, it's around 900. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have any questions, Denise?
No.
Lisa? Any questions?
I already asked him.
Oh, okay. So we'll go to comments. Who has comments?
Well, it's enormous. I couldn't support it at this size, I'm afraid. It's just such a long going on, and then I think your siding accentuates that even further by being horizontal. If it was like a shingle or something, kind of beachy look, it might have helped. But I'm not getting beach cottage, that's for sure. I'm getting something that just keeps going on and on and on and on down the lot. I think it's far too large for this lot, and at this juncture, I couldn't support it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Lisa?
I concur with that. Way too big, and it's just too massive, like a long house. It just seems like a long house, So I cannot support it, and wondering how my other colleagues feel about that, and maybe if it was down around 85 and minus one garage space, that could help. So,
How many bedrooms are there? 5. And 4.5 baths? Did I count right? Or did I? No, there's 5.5 baths.
Are you?
Don't have that.
Joe?
I think you're right. There's 5 and 5.5.
I can support the 3-car garage because you're going to have a lot of people there.
I don't think you're on over there.
I mean, it's me. But I think I agree with both of you. I think it's too big. But I would like to make a suggestion, which we've done in the past, is I don't mind. I like the way you've designed it down the side, and you've taken into the view. You have that whole piece of property that's empty. And I walked around there today, or I walked down and I met Carol. I think you could get the same idea, and we've done this before, by just making it smaller. We have to stay within, our board has to stay within our guidelines, and which is 99% is, or 90, whatever 96 or 95 is, 99 is 10%, it's way over. And if we stay within our guidelines, we can look at you and say, no, too big. But I don't think you have to just chop the hole and chop out bedrooms and do this. I took scale and measured a lot of things, and a lot of things are really bigger than they need to be. You could end up with the same design, the same idea, and get the guidelines down, satisfy our board, and still have a house that fits the lot, which is hidden, which, I mean, all those lots deserve to be, I mean, they're expensive lots, and they deserve to be expensive houses. And at least I think that way. I mean,
one way or the other.
Yeah. And I think you can shrink the thing
Do you have
down.
a suggestion?
Yeah, where should we?
Hold on. Let him speak, please.
The bedrooms could be a foot and a foot. The hallway, you've got, 6 foot. I wondered why but then I noticed, I saw the steps, and you got 6 foot, and then you're going to the hallway in the back, and you're stepping up. But those hallways don't have to be as big. You've got, I didn't look at all of it, but you can shrink, just kind of pull it in and get the 99 down to, closer to 90 or down that way instead of the 100 side down to more to 86, and satisfy us and my colleagues. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
I'll just chime in here. This is one of those challenges based, and because this board was created primarily because of issues like this that happened on the Mesa. And what this board looks at is size, bulk, and scale. And unfortunately, the design of the house is nice, but it's too big and bulky for this goofy lot you've got. It's kind of like you need to kind of go back to the drawing board and really reduce, for what I say, reduce the size of this house. And I'd say your goal is to get to 85%, just based on the context of the neighborhood. It's one of those situations where you're in an area that's really limited in terms of you got a lot of stuff. So it's a great challenge for a designer to, reduce the size of the house, get a little more sensitive to the neighborhood context, and I'm kind of following through what my board members say. So, I like the point that Denise said about the horizontal or the vertical siding. You might want to look at that. She had some suggestions I thought were pretty valid. So the other question I have real quickly is the 5 and 12 pitch of the roof. Is that based on the existing? So you kind of took that.
Yes.
So, and you may want to look at lowering your plate height on your first floor down to 8 feet. Or, there's ways of playing with that where you have 8 feet, but you have a 9-foot core. So it gives you the experience of volume, but it's not really bulky. So those are kind of ideas maybe you can explore. So those are my comments. So
I think the plate heights, as I was listening to you, the plate height kind of dictate the way the land goes. You've started with the garage and tried to keep everything at one level, and all of a sudden your plate heights kind of grew towards you got to the middle of the house. Am I correct?
No stepping down.
It does step. The plate heights do step down.
The garage. So there's kind of 3 finished floors. There's the main finished floor. Yeah. There's the residence finished floor, and then you step up again a foot for the garage to be here. Yeah. So because the plate height continues coming down, it's about an 8.2 plate height here. It's about an 8.0 plate height here. Mm-hmm. As the roof, this plane continues down further.
Gotcha.
So it's meant to not have the earth respond to the plate heights, but the plate heights respond to the earth and keep them down around 8 foot as we work our way that way. So,
how did the neighbor get through 95%?
I don't know, and that's not our purview. I don't know. The East Side project has its own.
I don't see that lot configuration though, so it's kind of hard to compare.
And I would ask regarding the 85%. Just we understand that that's kind of the.
Well, I said that, but we could. It's kind of based on whoever makes a motion. So.
Just in terms of this lot being over the guideline size, some lots are FAR requirements, and this being a guideline.
Well, I guess
size.
the point is to take from this is the board is very uncomfortable with the size of the house right now. So I'm not saying, and 85% is a guideline. That's not a rule. So that's kind of what we're saying. It's too big. We're uncomfortable with the size of it, so we want you to work on it. And see if someone can do do you have something to say?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say that a lot of these bluff top lots too. The trouble is that you're actually huge even for a lot that's counting all this lot square footage that's unusable. So what we're trying to get changed is basically, we'd love to change as a board, is to make it more about the building envelope that's actually buildable area and base CFAR. And in that case, you guys would be really blown out of the water because you're still at 99 even though you get to count everything going all the way down to the sea.
Is this
so you're just ginormous.
Is this 99%? You explained this. It doesn't include this right now.
It does not.
No, but it's still going down slope all the way.
Oh yeah. We run we've run into this
we
before.
run into that a lot.
But
That's the
essentially,
dilemma.
I mean,
down the street about
on their behalf, they're not allowed to do anything unless,
so
you know,
yes.
with that, they own it, but they're not allowed to build
Same
there.
thing.
So
Same
we're-
thing. We ran into
for everybody
this
across
a couple
that
times
road.
already.
No, we
That's true for everybody, because I had a project up there, and it's a pain, that setback.
Well,
Right,
I think the board's pretty clear of where we stand, so I'd like to know if someone can make a motion. Kind of draft a motion, so that they kind of have a
Okay.
guideline to work out how to proceed.
I'm the person tonight, huh? Okay, well, I move to continue the project to the full board.
Project is comments only.
Oh, these are just comments only, yes.
Okay.
There you
Going
go.
to require planning commission review.
Okay, so we'd like move to continue the project to the planning commission then, right? Okay. To the planning commission with the following comments.
Well, we wanted to.
would we be able to come
No,
back here
no, we
first?
want to come back here first.
Okay, you can come back and then.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we do want to the full board then, right?
Yes.
Like I said? Okay. So I'm going to continue the project to the full board with the following comments. The board is fairly unanimous in thinking that this is that the 99% FAR is far too large, the house is too large, and we would look to seeing at the next meeting a footprint that is very much reduced back toward 85%.
Anything about the siding, and do you want to make any
Well-
recommendations?
We would recommend if you look at the styling of the home, and if the beach cottage look is what your intention is, to get use materials that will drive it more in that direction. I'll leave that up to you. I'm not going to design the house for you guys. What else? We might also say that to look at possibly having a 2-car garage instead of a 3-car garage as part of the effort to lower the FAR. And that's my motion.
All right, thank you.
The driveway,
yeah.
Thank you. Yes, the driveway, the board would definitely support the driveway in the first iteration, which takes it several feet away from the neighbor's home,
In the
so that
front.
there's a green barrier between the home in the front. What direction is that? North? To
Yeah, the north.
The northeast. That you have a green buffer between that home and the driveway. So, in essence, pushing it to the west.
Okay. All right, thank you. Do I have a second?
I second it.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, I move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Okay.
Thank you.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Yeah. There we go. I'm going to close it up.
I think that's the last item on our agenda. Seeing that that is the last item of the agenda, I now close Single Family Design Board. Thank you.